Li Mei's Sword of Destiny. Chapter 826. Qin Wentian's will was blocked by a formless energy. He put down the sword in his hand and walked into the cave. This was a cultivation cave. The interior was vast and spacious. After passing through 3 caves, he saw beams of golden light shooting out, resembling golden tribulation energy, unceasingly slashing down on the void, forming a screen of destruction that was extremely terrifying. Qin Wentian also saw a silhouette in the background. This silhouette was clad in an earth-yellow kasaya and his hair was reflective. He didn't wear shoes and was barefooted. His exposed skin was bronze in color, exuding a sense of masculinity. That tattered kasaya, as well as his yellow feet that were filled with calluses, clearly indicated that this person was a monk who could endure hardship. It was unknown how many mountains and rivers he had traversed. However, this monk casually stood there, yet he actually gave off an ancient and solemn feeling. His back view gave off a sense of strength and was extremely powerful. Outside the cave there were several corpses. Clearly, this monk wasn't a monk who didn't kill. In the cruel immortal realms, there were many monks who didn't believe in kindness. They believed in suffering, tempering themselves, and didn't seek pleasure. They only wanted to cultivate and transcend themselves. Abruptly, a bone-chilling killing intent directly enveloped Qin Wentian. In just an instant, Qin Wentian felt as though he was in purgatory. That ice-cold killing intent caused all his hopes to turn to dust. "Get out!" A solemn voice drifted over from the front, containing an indisputable intent, wanting Qin Wentian to leave this cave. Although that monk spoke, he didn't turn his head. In fact, his body didn't move at all, like an old monk in a meditative state. His strength of concentration had reached a terrifying extent. His entire person was able to remain unmoving. Qin Wentian didn't listen to the monk's words and chose to step out. He continued forward, only to see that at this moment, the monk's palm blasted out behind him. With a thunderous boom, Qin Wentian only saw a gigantic golden bell blasting towards him. This golden bell seemed to be covered in runes, resplendent and resplendent. When the golden light shot out, it was like a golden calamity that could destroy everything. The sound of the bell rang out, and the ancient bell vibrated. Qin Wentian's sword qi suddenly bloomed from his body. He took a step forward, and his sword qi soared into the sky. He waved his hand and his sword cut through the void. Boom! The terrifying sound of vibration resounded in the cave residence, reverberating wildly, shaking Qin Wentian's scalp numb. The power of the golden lightning was extremely terrifying, but his sword still cut the ancient bell in half. Buzz! Another ancient bell erupted forth. Qin Wentian's eyes narrowed. That monk could actually unleash an ancient bell attack with a wave of his hand. Seems like this monk had been here for a very long time and had comprehended the essence of this innate technique. The sword qi radiating from Qin Wentian towered up into the skies as he slashed out with rage, breaking the ancient bell apart once again. The reverberations of the bell chimes reverberated throughout the entire cavern, causing the bell chimes to reverberate unceasingly. Numerous ancient bells flew towards Qin Wentian, exuding a fearsome might as golden lightning bolts that seemed capable of destroying people. Qin Wentian stared at the back view of the monk as he coldly snorted. His silhouette moved, and in an instant, several sword shadows of Qin Wentian appeared in the cavern. Numerous beams of sword light slashed out at the same time, shattering the ancient bells one after another. Qin Wentian's silhouette also stepped into the final cavern. On his left, the monk wielded a gigantic ancient bell and slammed it towards him. Qin Wentian's gigantic sword directly slammed into the ancient bell. Boom! A thunderous sound rang out as the golden lightning blasted onto the monk and Qin Wentian, causing them to be bathed in golden light. The ancient bell and the sword qi shattered at the same time. The monk's gray eyes finally stared at Qin Wentian. His eyes seemed to possess a terrifying penetrative power, wanting to pierce through Qin Wentian. Wu Bei from the Western Desert Prefecture. Ranked 3rd in the Western Desert Prefecture. Qin Wentian glanced at the medallion on the monk's tattered kasaya as his eyes flashed with sharpness. This monk was actually one of the top 3 geniuses of the Western Desert Prefecture. He must definitely be extraordinary. It's said that the people of the 4 great prefectures were all able to endure hardship. The Western Desert Prefecture was the worst. The environment here was extremely harsh, and the stellar martial cultivators there were all ascetic cultivators. This Wu Bei truly seemed like a true ascetic monk. At this moment, Qin Wentian also saw the scene within the cavern. Within the cavern, there were many illusory scenes that flickered in and out of existence. In front of a statue, there were many scenes of an immortal foundation expert cultivating. This immortal foundation expert was currently cultivating an ancient bell immortal art. Many scenes flashed by unceasingly, and every scene was a demonstration of the immortal foundation expert using astral energy to forge the ancient bell. After which, golden tribulation energy would be drawn to it, causing it to expand unceasingly, transforming into a terrifying gigantic ancient bell that contained tyrannical might. This kind of demonstration seemed to be a complete immortal art. At the end of the demonstration, a fearsome immortal bell actually appeared, drawing upon the law energy of heaven and earth. The fearsome immortal bell radiated immortal might, capable of annihilating all existences. When the bell vibrated outwards, the entire space around it seemed as though it was about to be destroyed. Immortal remnant shadows. Qin Wentian's countenance gleamed with sharpness. Immortal remnant shadows were able to demonstrate a complete immortal art. This was extremely extraordinary, allowing people to directly observe and comprehend it. For those at the celestial phenomenon realm, although they could cultivate immortal arts, they had to start from the foundation of the immortal art. It was impossible for them to truly unleash the power of the immortal art. It was already considered not bad if they could comprehend 10 to 20% of the immortal art. But immortal remnant shadows didn't allow them to comprehend the immortal art more deeply, allowing them to unleash even greater power. For the same immortal art, if others could comprehend 20%, if you could comprehend 30%, you would be able to easily defeat your opponent. But if you could comprehend 40%, you would most probably be able to insta-kill your opponent. As expected of the Dongshengshan Gate, this was the reason why so many geniuses wanted to join the major powers. For ordinary powers, there weren't even many immortal foundation experts, let alone immortal remnant shadows. But in this eastern sage cliff, the disciples of the Dongshengshan Gate could casually come here to comprehend the immortal art. How could their improvement speed not be fast? Just as Qin Wentian was contemplating, a bone-chilling killing intent gushed over. Monk Wu Bei's gray eyes stared at Qin Wentian as his astral soul materialized. A gigantic ancient bell appeared, wanting to fuse with the immortal art. Only to see Wu Bei waving his hands as his astral soul whistled. The bell chime shook the hearts of Qin Wentian, causing his soul to tremble. At the same time, the terrifying calamity annihilation ancient bell gushed over, enveloping the entire space, wanting to crush all living beings. This monk Wu Bei truly didn't have any mercy at all. Sword chi gushed forth from Qin Wentian as he released his sword-type astral soul. His sword frenziedly slashed out as his body transformed into a wind rock, unceasingly soaring through the air. The bell chimes continued unceasingly. The terrifying ancient bell chimes seemed boundless, as though it wouldn't rest until Qin Wentian was dead. Qin Wentian slashed apart several ancient bells, and finally, an incomparably gigantic ancient bell radiated boundless might, emitting a clanging sound as it descended downwards. Boom! The bell chimes resounded through the heavens and earth. Qin Wentian's body was actually enveloped by the gigantic ancient bell. That monk Wu Bei's countenance was cold as he unceasingly channeled destructive might into the ancient bell. Qin Wentian was trapped within the ancient bell as boundless destructive might gushed forth, as well as the terrifying bell chimes. Qin Wentian's bloodline erupted forth as he released his suppression-type astral soul, blocking the destructive might from getting close to him. As expected of the third ranker of the Western Desert Prefecture, in addition to the fact that he cultivated in front of an immortal's remnant image, he actually has such a powerful strength. Qin Wentian silently mused. Outside, Wu Bei unceasingly unleashed attacks, as though once he acted, he would definitely kill Qin Wentian. He was extremely decisive and ruthless, his temperament extremely terrifying. After a long time, Wu Bei waved his hands as the gigantic ancient bell flew up. A violet gold light erupted forth, causing Wu Bei's expression to stiffen as a dazzling light flickered in his eyes. I won't be able to kill you. Since you want to comprehend this art, just stay here. Just don't disturb me. Wu Bei was extremely decisive. He walked to the side and gave half of his space to Qin Wentian. After recalling the ancient bell, he once again entered a meditative state, entering into a state of comprehension. And Qin Wentian nodded lightly. This time around, everyone wanted to eliminate their opponents. It was very normal for them to fight against each other. This monk Wu Bei's strength was extremely tyrannical. It would be extremely difficult for him to kill him. Right now, what he should do was to continue to enrich himself and increase his strength. Only then would he not be at a disadvantage no matter who he faced in the future. Everyone was at the same starting point. Qin Wentian had no way to know what good fortune the others had. Maybe their good fortune might be even better than his. Qin Wentian turned his gaze ahead, staring at the immortal's remnant image. He was completely immersed in it, unable to extricate himself. The Eastern Sage Cliff bestowed upon them the strength of a 9th-level ascendant, close to immortal foundation. At this moment, a yearning for immortality bloomed in his heart. What is an immortal? Transcending the mortal world, establishing an immortal foundation and wielding immortal might. Immortal might was a type of immortal law energy. Qin Wentian attentively observed the immortal's remnant image, truly comprehending the birth of immortal law energy. In the Eastern Sage Cliff, geniuses were as common as the clouds. As time flowed by, the geniuses in the Eastern Sage Cliff all cultivated their strength. Many of them clashed against each other, and there would occasionally be experts being eliminated. On the 70th day since the participants entered the Eastern Sage Cliff, the disparity between geniuses who had the same starting point had already widened. A batch of extremely powerful characters appeared, annihilating whoever they met. These people were all ranked at the very top of the 13 prefectures. True geniuses were born from the trials of blood. They would be able to display their brilliance at any time. Outside the cavern where Qin Wentian and Wu Bei were at, a few more corpses appeared. However, they were still unable to obstruct the flow of geniuses. At this moment, another person stepped into the cavern. "Get out!" A cold voice rang out, unquestionable and tyrannical. That person laughed coldly, stomping his feet on the ground, causing rumbling sounds to echo out. However, at this moment, a gigantic ancient bell appeared on his left and right respectively. Terrifying booming sounds echoed out, and he only felt his soul about to dissipate. After which the ancient bell directly smashed into his body, and with a deafening boom, his body directly collapsed onto the ground. No signs of life could be seen. Chapter 827. Qin Wentian quietly cultivated. Today he finally exited the cavern, leaving this immortal remnant realm. Monk Wu Bei of the Western Desert Prefecture was still meditating in his cave, as though he had forgotten everything. He only wanted to comprehend the true essence of the immortal remnant realm. Qin Wentian was silently impressed by the number 3 ranker of the Western Desert Prefecture, Wu Bei. After entering a meditative state, he didn't budge an inch and was like a boulder, cultivating bitterly for so many days, not bothering about the secret realms of the other prefectures. Such a state of mind wasn't something ordinary people could compare to. Most probably, this was also because he was born in the Western Desert Prefecture. Outside the cavern, there were a few people lingering there, hesitating, because there were already corpses outside. This cavern was occupied by 2 powerful geniuses, and no one else could enter. It has been many days since the Eastern Sage Cliff tempering grounds, and such a situation was common. There were many powerful geniuses who occupied secret realms, not allowing others to gain a foothold there. They were extremely tyrannical. At this moment, upon seeing Qin Wentian exiting, the eyes of those geniuses flickered. They stared at Qin Wentian only to see Qin Wentian's eyes gleaming with sharpness, causing those geniuses to be extremely wary. After which, they only saw Qin Wentian transforming into a wind rock as he soared up into the air and departed. In the air, Qin Wentian sped through the wind. His resplendent eyes stared down at the majestic land below. The Eastern Sage Cliff was boundlessly vast, with countless mysterious realms within. Qin Wentian had no interest in the geniuses here at all. He only had a single thought in his heart, and that was to make use of this opportunity to obtain good fortune from the Eastern Sage Cliff to strengthen himself. Qin Wentian also understood the true meaning behind the mission issued by the Heavenly Talisman Realm. The grand banquet of the Dongshangshan Gate was held once every 100 years. The Dongshangshan Gate would do their best to select the most outstanding disciples, and would surely be willing to part with all sorts of resources. This tempering grounds was a chance for them to grow stronger. If they succeeded, they would even be able to obtain benefits from both the Heavenly Talisman Realm and the Dongshangshan Gate. A test was much better than him going into seclusion and cultivating alone. Ordinary people did not dare to fly high in the sky, because it was easy to be seen by others and suffer attacks. After all, this was a competition. Only 1,000 people remained, and the remaining people could become disciples of the celestial sect. Qin Wentian did indeed see many people below. Many of them occupied an area. Some were cultivating alone, some were fighting for a treasured cultivation ground, and some were fighting endlessly. He paid no attention to any of them. The shadow of the wind rock flew past like a gust of wind. Perhaps it was because his speed was too fast, but no one dared to intercept him. Finally, at this moment, Qin Wentian saw an ancient peak below. Outside the ancient peak, there was a magnificent stone platform for cultivation. The stone platform was wide and there were diagrams carved on it, forming their own rules. Qin Wentian's silhouette flickered as he directly dove down, landing on the stone platform. He stared at the walls of the ancient peak before him, only to see a dazzling golden light radiating from it. Numerous runic diagrams flashed, transforming into a circular seal that sealed the entrance to the depths of the ancient peak. It was as though this place was also a secret cultivation ground for an expert. It was just that if one couldn't unravel the runic diagram, they wouldn't be able to enter. Hence no one dared to stop here. Standing on the stone platform, Qin Wentian observed for a moment before following the passageway. Qin Wentian stretched his hand out and placed it on the runic diagram as beams of runic light flashed in all directions. In just a short instant, the entire runic diagram radiated a dazzling light. Instantly, the runic diagram transformed into a gate that opened to both sides. Qin Wentian directly stepped into it. After stepping into the runic diagram, the gate of light closed once more. The interior of the gate actually opened up as a cool and refreshing feeling drifted over. Before him, there was a stone platform with a waterfall on both sides. Strands of mist lingered in the air, causing one to feel as though they were in an immortal realm. Ahead, there was a simple and unadorned statue that exuded an immortal aura. He sat cross-legged and before the statue, there were many immortal scrolls. "Junior has offended you." Qin Wentian bowed slightly to the statue. This was a form of respect for the ancestor and nothing else. He walked up and picked up the immortal scrolls, directly entering them with his perception. Instantly, countless words floated before his eyes, incomparably clear. In just an instant, Qin Wentian was completely immersed within. The things recorded in the immortal scrolls weren't innate techniques, nor were they cultivation arts. They were actually the cultivation experiences of this immortal, as well as his views on cultivation. After a long period of time, Qin Wentian placed the first immortal scroll down. He stared at the statue as a hint of admiration could be seen in his eyes. Very rarely would there be seniors who would record their own cultivation experiences for the later generations to view. They would rather pass down their innate techniques and techniques to find a successor. Their cultivation experiences wouldn't have instant results, and wouldn't be of any obvious use. But in reality, cultivation experiences were even more valuable. These were the insights of an ancestor, and were extremely useful to the juniors. Qin Wentian picked up the second immortal scroll, and the more he read, the more immersed he became. With a single glance, he seemed to have forgotten the passage of time until he finished reading all the insights of this immortal, only to see Qin Wentian's eyes gleaming with sharpness as many thoughts flashed through his mind. He stared at the statue before him and stood up, bowing once more before sitting cross-legged on the stone platform. A violet gold light flashed. Qin Wentian directly released his fifth astral soul. Instantly, a violet gold radiance illuminated the entire cavern, illuminating the entire space. It was extremely dazzling. Behind Qin Wentian, a violet gold silhouette of suppression manifested. This silhouette was so dense that it seemed to be corporeal. Resplendent runes circulated around it, containing a boundless and wondrous energy, exuding a suppressive might that was extremely terrifying. From the records of this immortal, One could see that the major powers and experts of the immortal realms all felt that those below the immortal foundation realm who condensed a violet gold astral soul were supreme geniuses, 1 in 100 million. No matter where they went, there would be experts wanting to nurture them. Naturally, this was because the violet gold astral soul was extremely powerful. The power of a violet gold astral soul was publicly acknowledged by everyone. But as to where exactly was it so powerful? Other than the tyrannical astral energy contained within, this immortal also felt that those who condensed a violet gold astral soul would have an innate advantage in cultivation. They could step into the immortal realm faster than ordinary people. This wasn't a secret, and many people knew about it. But why was this so? This immortal felt that a violet gold astral soul contained law energy. The runes on it were a type of law energy, and it was just that celestial phenomenon ascendants had no way to dig out its true might. He even thought that for those with powerful bloodlines, their bloodlines would also contain terrifying law energy. This law energy wouldn't appear when the bloodline holder was weak, but as the bloodline holder grew stronger, the law energy would grow stronger and stronger. This was the reason why the bloodlines of those with powerful bloodlines would constantly evolve and grow stronger. These 2 points were what Qin Wentian wanted to unearth. Other than this, many of the insights this immortal left behind were extremely useful to his own cultivation. Qin Wentian started to observe and comprehend the astral souls and bloodlines he had. After comprehending them in a cavern, he came back here again. He didn't care about the happenings in the outside world, and didn't fight, as though he stood aloof from worldly affairs. In the outside world, the flames of war had already ignited. There were many supreme geniuses clashing against each other, and all of them had comprehended different types of laws, causing their strength to grow stronger and stronger. However, Qin Wentian, who was cultivating alone, seemed to be completely unaware of all this. Today, Qin Wentian walked out of the cavern and sat on a stone platform outside. He was currently practicing his sword arts and bell arts, and would occasionally contemplate the heavens and earth, as though he was observing the law energy within the eastern sage cliff. Qin Wentian continued to comprehend and cultivate. Even his casual attacks grew stronger and stronger, but he was still immersed in his comprehension. After a very long time, the number of geniuses remaining in the eastern sage cliff grew fewer and fewer. Outside the eastern sage cliff, there were many experts from the Dongshengshan Gate gathered here, including many immortal kings. Those immortal kings from the 13 prefectures who led the geniuses here were all here. How many geniuses are there in the eastern sage cliff now? Someone asked. After which, an old guard at the side replied, there are currently over 3,000 participants. In about a month or two, this round of battles would conclude. It should be about there. I wonder what the average standard of the geniuses in this batch is. Someone spoke in a low voice. I'm not sure about the others, but those from the Eastern Prefecture are truly extremely powerful. Those from my Western Desert Prefecture are also very strong, much stronger compared to 100 years ago. An immortal king from the Western Desert Prefecture spoke. It's the same for our Underworld Prefecture as well. Everyone spoke. The Idle Cloud Immortal King from the Cloud Prefecture also laughed. There are also a few good seedlings in this batch of geniuses from our Cloud Prefecture. Cloud Prefecture, I don't think there's anyone from this prefecture who obtained the top 3 before. An immortal king from the Blazing Sun Prefecture impolitely spoke, his words causing the Idle Cloud Immortal King to snort coldly, but he had no way to refute that. This was the truth. The immortal kings of the various prefectures would naturally be competing against each other in secret. That's true. I think there might be people from the Eastern Prefecture in this batch of geniuses, but there would also be people from our Western Desert Prefecture. Let's wait and see. After such a long time, we should have already discovered the 100 Immortals Forest. If we gather here earlier, this round of battles might end even faster and the elimination rate would be even faster. In fact, there might even be some extremely powerful characters who would be eliminated due to the competition. At the Eastern Sage Cliff, the 100 Immortals Forest was located in the central location. Over here, there were 360 immortal statues that contained terrifying immortal wills. Before each statue, there was a stone platform that could allow one to truly comprehend the immortal's might. At this moment, in the vast region of the 100 Immortals Forest, there were geniuses standing before each statue. If one paid close attention, they would discover that the higher the ranking of the geniuses, the closer they were to the statues. What was even more shocking was that right now in the region of the 100 Immortals Forest, corpses could be seen everywhere. Over 1,000 people had fallen here. The Eastern Sage Cliff was incomparably vast, but in this place alone, countless geniuses had fallen here. From this, one could very well imagine how intense the battles here were. And at this moment, a violent battle was also taking place in the 100 Immortals Forest. Scram! At this moment, a terrifying roar rang out. On the stone platform before one of the immortal statues, a towering battle was taking place. Jun Mengchen transformed into a war god, clad in a resplendent king armor. His attacks towered up into the sky, fighting against 3 powerful experts as a look of incomparable arrogance flickered in his eyes. After Jun Mengchen cultivated a lot of energy, he came to this 100 Immortals Forest and discovered that he could directly sense the tyrannical might of immortals through the statues here. In fact, he could even inherit immortal arts. This place was more suitable than any other place for cultivation. But as more and more geniuses discovered this place, the competition for positions started to erupt. The battles were incomparably intense. If they couldn't win, then they would have to fight against each other, wanting to kill each other. Chapter 828. There were a total of 360 immortal statues in the 100 Immortals Forest, but in the surroundings of this place, there were close to 1,000 people gathered here. When they glanced over, they saw that there were people cultivating in front of each immortal statue. They instantly understood that this place was an extremely good place for cultivation. How could they miss out on this opportunity? Hence, battles erupted unceasingly. There were also experts who comprehended the will of an immortal statue and continued forward, wanting to comprehend the will of a stronger immortal statue. The battles continued unceasingly, and for those who managed to occupy a position, they were all cultivating in the midst of the battles. In addition, once a battle broke out, it would be a slaughter, merciless and decisive. As for the reason, everyone understood. Nobody wanted to be constantly harassed. If they didn't want to be disturbed, there was only a single method: kill. Using the most domineering method to kill, killing so many that no one dared to covet the position. At the side, the geniuses were all guarding the area, searching for prey. If you weren't strong enough, there would be people coming to kill you. There were also experts who felt that their strength wasn't enough. They would immediately choose to leave, searching for other places to cultivate and only return after comprehending more power. In any case, this 100 Immortals Forest became the most important place for the geniuses. The true battles would also start here. Some geniuses even understood that as long as they didn't come here, they would have a chance to enter the top 1,000. But if they missed this opportunity, it would be too much of a pity. Those truly capable geniuses all wanted to grow stronger. The top 1,000 positions were merely for outer sect disciples. There were still battles waiting for them at the back. Jun Mengchen seized an extremely powerful immortal statue. That statue exuded an incomparably tyrannical will of kings, as though it was an incomparably tyrannical battle king existence. Just a single glance was all it took for one to feel the sharpness of the statue. There were people who fought for it before, but all of them died in the hands of the powerful Jun Mengchen. Hence, the current situation was formed: 3 experts fighting against a single person. This person's bloodline is very powerful. Although he is young, he is extremely powerful. The spectators stared at Jun Mengchen as they silently mused in their hearts. Jun Mengchen was clad in king armor, and that was the pure might of his bloodline. His strength was terrifying, but right now, he was still in a disadvantageous position because he was fighting against 3 extremely powerful geniuses. Each of their attacks were tyrannical to the extreme, and when the 3 of them joined forces, it was already extremely rare for Jun Mengchen to be able to persist. From afar, a silhouette sped over with a speed as fast as lightning. This was a beautiful silhouette. She sped towards the direction of Jun Mengchen as she released her astral souls. A divine eagle manifested, radiating a divine light. She blasted out with her palms, causing a divine eagle to descend from the heavens, tearing apart everything. The terrifying illusory figure shot towards Jun Mengchen's 3 opponents. The countenance of one of them instantly changed. This was especially so when he saw the violet gold glow radiating from the newcomer. That person roared in rage as a demonic shadow manifested, clashing against the divine falcon. However, the demonic shadow was directly torn apart. The person who came was none other than Zi Qingxian. She didn't say a single word and directly engaged in combat. Vizi. That beautiful silhouette flickered. In an instant, there seemed to be a myriad of movements as numerous divine eagles lunged over. She just so happened to have comprehended an attack that was extremely suitable for her in the eastern sage cliff. Very soon, that expert couldn't hold on any longer, and was directly flung through the air with a thunderous boom. Jun Mengchen had one less person to deal with. He roared in madness as he spoke in arrogance, "Senior sister, you came at the right time." He who was fighting against two opponents actually managed to turn the situation around. His battle chi gushed forth as boundless destructive tempests ravaged the skies. Rumbling sounds rang out unceasingly as the two opponents were flung through the air, coughing out fresh blood as their countenances paled. The three of them were all injured. They soon gathered together and stared at Jun Mengchen and Zi Qingxian as their expressions turned ashen. They didn't expect these two to be so powerful. The stone platforms here are all occupied. If we don't join forces, the chances of us obtaining them would be even slimmer. One of the three spoke as he stared at the crowd. There's only a single person on the stone platform. If we join forces, who would be the one occupying it? Someone spoke. Even if one occupied the stone platform, if one didn't have sufficient strength, how would they be able to defend it? Unless one truly had strength that no one dared to covet. At this moment, the gazes of everyone turned to the front. Over there were a total of 18 stone platforms at the very front. These 18 stone platforms were actually the quietest. No one dared to disturb them. In front of one of the statues, Gusu Tianqi calmly stood there, exuding a formless pressure to the geniuses present. Just by looking at his back view, everyone could feel his aura. He was definitely an extremely terrifying character. As for the other statues, they were all supremely powerful existences, the top 3 rankers of the Eastern Sage 13 prefectures. Other than this, there were also many others who occupied the other immortal platforms behind them. They weren't in a hurry to clash with each other. They were waiting for the space in front of them to be emptied out. Very few people would dare to snatch those seats. Jun Mengchen's position was also very high up, and was ranked second in the Cloud Prefecture. Nobody would dare to snatch his position so easily. However, this statue of his was extremely outstanding, and in addition to the fact that the fame of the geniuses of the Cloud Prefecture was relatively low, there were many geniuses who joined forces to snatch it. At this moment, a few silhouettes flashed over, directly surrounding Jun Mengchen and Zi Qingxian. Jun Mengchen stared at one of them. It was none other than Black Peak, whom he had met once in the inn back then. It's Black Peak, the disciple of the Deep Flame Immortal King. As for the other two, they are geniuses from the Eastern Prefecture and are very close to Black Peak. The expressions of the crowd stiffened when they saw this scene. The disciple of the Deep Flame Immortal King. Black Peak actually wanted to deal with these two? Back then, when the sage child Yi Zixuan hosted the banquet, Yu and Qin Wentian were truly brazen. Black Peak stared at Jun Mengchen as he spoke. Only now did everyone know that this man was none other than the person who dared to oppose the sage child Yi Zixuan back then. Black Peak was the disciple of the Deep Flame Immortal King. He would naturally have a good relationship with the sage child of the Dongshangshan Gate. I can help you guys to kill these two. But this immortal foundation, you guys cannot possess it. Black Peak stared at the 3 injured geniuses. The expressions of the 3 of them stiffened as they nodded. Fine, we don't want it anymore. Scum, how shameless. Jun Mengchen spoke in disdain. Zi Qingxian furrowed her brows. Let's leave. Senior sister, if we meet these people in the later battles, we will definitely kill them. Jun Mengchen spoke in anger. Zi Qingxian nodded her head, and the 2 of them soared up into the air. Facing so many geniuses, they knew it was impossible for them to contend against them. Hence they could only choose to leave. Humph! Black Peak coldly snorted. Lifting his palm, he blasted out a scorching black palm imprint that was imbued with terrifying flames, containing a tyrannical destructive might. Scram! Jun Mengchen roared, causing the heavens and earth to tremble violently. He stretched out his palms, and with a thunderous boom, the palm imprints had no way to block him. The others all launched their own attacks. Yet Zi Qingxuan's silhouette flickered madly as numerous silhouettes rushed out in rage. They soared up into the air and soared into the skies, speeding towards the horizons. Black Peak floated in the air. Seeing how fast the two of them were, he knew it would be hard for him to catch up to them, and he didn't have time to waste. Hence, he ignored them and left the immortal foundation to his companions. As for Jun Mengchen and Zi Qingxian, the two of them flickered in the air. Jun Mengchen sighed in a depressed manner sadly. I can't unleash much of my strength in this place, or I would definitely be able to kill them all. Senior sister, I've implicated you. Don't worry about it. Zi Qingxian shook her head. Although she had a violet gold astral soul, she couldn't unleash all sorts of unique techniques. She felt that her strength was restricted, and she couldn't unleash all of her advantages. I wonder how senior brother Qin is doing. I can sense that his comprehension abilities should be extremely high. After so many days, maybe he has already undergone a transformation. Jun Mengchen spoke in a low voice. Let's search for a better place to increase our strength. There are many good fortune in the Eastern Sage Cliff Range. Let's not waste them. Zi Qingxian spoke. Jun Mengchen nodded his head as the two of them soared through the air. Senior sister. After some time, Jun Mengchen suddenly called out in joy. His gaze turned to a stone platform on an ancient peak below. In a place where no one was willing to enter, Qin Wentian was currently cultivating on the stone platform, unleashing his innate techniques unceasingly. Every attack he unleashed would give off a marvelous feeling, as though there was a unique sense of beauty within. Don't disturb him. Zi Qingxuan's heart trembled. She discovered that each and every action of Qin Wentian seemed to be a part of nature itself, as though he had entered into a marvelous state. His casual attacks were all extremely powerful, and this feeling of perfect harmony with the heavens and earth was extremely pleasing to the eyes. Why are you guys here? At this moment Qin Wentian halted. He had already discovered the two of them in the air. His silhouette flickered, akin to a wind rock, transforming into a beam of light that instantly appeared in front of the two of them. Senior brother, have you been here all this while? Didn't you go to the 100 Immortals Forest? Jun Mengchen asked. I wandered around a few places before I finally arrived here. Where is the 100 Immortals Forest exactly? There's a total of 360 immortal statues in the 100 Immortals Forest. All of them contain powerful immortal wills. One can even cultivate immortal arts through the statues and obtain inheritances. The battles there never stopped, and it's so embarrassing. I was blasted out and even implicated senior sister. Jun Mengchen unhappily spoke. Qin Wentian furrowed his brows. Given Jun Mengchen's talent, it shouldn't be that bad, right? I went there earlier and only cultivated a single innate technique before I encountered the 100 Immortals Forest. I chose an immortal statue that was more suitable for me, and started to comprehend my insights there. Hence my combat prowess is on the weaker side. That's already not bad. The three of us were able to persist, and if it wasn't for Black Peak and the others ganging up on us, we wouldn't have to leave so easily. Zi Qingxian spoke, her words causing Qin Wentian to understand. After which, he spoke, let's go back. Kill our way back. Jun Mengchen's eyes gleamed with sharpness. Qin Wentian nodded his head. Since there was a place like the 100 Immortals Forest, he naturally had to go and take a look. Also, that place should be the main battlefield of the Eastern Sage Cliff sect. Okay, let's move out immediately. Jun Mengchen's eyes gleamed with excitement. Zi Qingxian glanced at Qin Wentian. Although the three of them were very strong, she didn't know if they would be able to contend against so many enemies. But even if they were defeated, it wouldn't be a problem for them to protect themselves. Hence, she nodded her head and agreed to kill their way back. This junior apprentice brother of hers, although Jun Mengchen's talent was extremely good, his personality was a little too impatient. Compared to Qin Wentian, he lacked calmness. The feeling Qin Wentian gave her was that he had an extremely resolute temperament. He was able to calm down and restrain himself, yet his arrogance could also soar through the heavens. The longer she interacted with him, the more she felt he was extraordinary. Chapter 829. After the three of them spoke, they directly set off, heading towards the direction of the 100 Immortals Forest. In the 100 Immortals Forest, 360 immortal statues stood tall. The battles continued, and although the aftershocks from the battle affected the statues, These immortal statues were still able to stand tall. Each of them had a formless barrier of light around them, blocking the aftershocks from the battle. Not too long after, Qin Wentian, Jun Mengqian and Zi Qingxian returned. Their gazes swept through the vast 100 Immortals forest as they continued to cultivate and battle. There were some demon-level geniuses in front of them. All of them had their eyes closed. Nobody dared to disturb them. Senior brother, earlier I was cultivating in front of that immortal statue, only to see Jun Mengqian lifting his finger and pointing to one of the statues. Qin Wentian's perception gushed over and he instantly sensed a Qingdao battle intent radiating from this statue, incomparably sharp and extremely compatible with Jun Mengqian's cultivation. No wonder Jun Mengqian would choose this immortal statue. It was just that at this moment the immortal statue was occupied by someone else. The person who occupied it was none other than the person by Blackpeak's side. The person who wanted to kill Jun Mengqian and Zi Qingxian. This person's aura surged as he was extremely powerful. He was a heaven chosen of the Eastern Prefecture. Although Blackpeak wasn't in the Eastern Prefecture with the Deep Flame Immortal King, the Deep Flame Immortal King's status in the Dongshangshan Gate was extraordinary. His influence was immense, and after Blackpeak arrived, the Sage Child had already arranged a place for him to stay. Blackpeak was acquainted with several heaven chosen of the Eastern Prefecture. The person who occupied the immortal statue of Jun Mengqian was also extremely powerful. His aura surged as a terrifying aura gushed forth from him. What should we do? Jun Mengqian asked. Since Blackpeak directly brought his men to kill the two of you, there's no need to care about the rules. Kill them all. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed with sharpness, while Jun Mengqian and Zi Qingxuan's eyes gleamed with sharpness. After which, the three of them directly soared through the air with lightning speed, speeding towards the direction of the immortal statue. Everywhere they passed, the experts all opened their eyes and stared at the three of them warily. Cultivating in this place required extreme caution and vigilance against the attacks of others. Hence, the efficiency of comprehension was extremely low. But there was no helping it. The will contained within the statue was truly powerful, and it could directly inherit the might of an immortal. Soon, the cultivator who occupied Jun Mengqian seemed to have sensed a cold murderous intent sweeping towards him. He stopped cultivating and opened his eyes. His body radiated with a sharp aura as he turned around and looked at the sky. A terrifying aura swept out. Boom! The raging winds howled as a wind rock appeared in the air. This wind rock's entire body was extremely sharp, like an invincible sword. He lifted his hand and a terrifying beam of sword light shot out. This sword seemed to contain a special might as it swept through the air, enveloping everything in its path, completely sealing off the movements of that expert. There were no blind spots at all. Impudent! That person roared, punching out with both his fists, causing the space to tremble and the sword chi to shatter. However, Qin Wentian's first attack wasn't for the sake of killing. It was only for the sake of sealing off his movements. In that short instant, the three of them descended from three different directions. Boom! The terrifying ancient bells directly shook the heavens and the earth, causing the man's body to tremble violently. The sound of the bells seemed to be filled with a terrifying murderous might, transforming into destructive golden lightning that smashed everything, causing the man to groan in pain. His body was paralyzed and he trembled all over. After which, Jun Mengqian roared in madness. A spatial tempest gushed forth, and that person was like a rootless duckweed, drifting away with the wind. The divine falcon shone with a resplendent brilliance, tearing apart everything. It swooped down and tore the body of that person into pieces, causing fresh blood to splatter everywhere. In just an instant, a genius of the Eastern Prefecture died, killed on the spot. This scene caused the surrounding people to be horrified, and their hearts trembled. Such a tyrannical strike was terrifying to the extreme. There was basically no way for the opponent to escape. In that instant earlier, it was as though they could see the despair of a genius before his death. It was as though they didn't dare to believe that they would be killed in such a short amount of time. If he knew about this earlier, would he regret following Blackpeak to force Jun Mengqian and Zi Qingxian away? Who would have thought that Jun Mengqian and Zi Qingxian would be back so soon? Back then, they ganged up on Jun Mengqian, and now Jun Mengqian and Zi Qingxian weren't polite at all, directly ganging up on Jun Mengqian and Zi Qingxian, not giving them any chance at all. As expected, the remaining people were even more dangerous. If you offended them and didn't kill them, you would only be leaving behind future troubles for yourself. The consequences would be extremely severe. A terrifying killing intent erupted forth. A few silhouettes stepped out from the front. These were none other than Blackpeak and his other two friends. The three of them each occupied an immortal seat and were all extremely powerful geniuses. At this moment, after Qin Wentian and the other two killed one of their opponents, they all turned and stared at Blackpeak and his two friends. Their countenances were all filled with sharpness and sharpness. The gazes of the 6 experts clashed as a violent current of qi churned in the air. A cold killing intent gushed forth in all directions, as though a great battle was about to erupt. Such actions. You are truly despicable. Are you even fit to stand here? Blackpeak's countenance was ice cold. That person was his friend. Not long ago, he led this person to chase away Jun Mengchen. But in the blink of an eye, he was surrounded and killed by his opponents. From this, one could very well imagine how terrible his mood was right now. Are you even qualified to say such words? Qin Wentian arrogantly spoke. Now that it's 3 against 3, it's just nice. Qin Wentian's countenance was filled with provocation. That cold arrogance in his eyes was filled with disdain. Blackpeak's eyes turned black as an extremely dangerous aura gushed forth from him. Who wants to play with you guys? Blackpeak's eyes turned to the back of Qin Wentian and his group. The other 3 who participated in the encirclement against Jun Mengchen also walked over. The 6 of them surrounded Qin Wentian and Blackpeak spoke. Since you guys are so despicable, just leave your lives behind. I will kill all of you. Other than Blackpeak, there were a few others who were watching the show. Jun Mengchen was none other than the person whom sage child Yi Zixuan didn't invite back then. Qin Wentian was none other than the genius who killed Yi Zixuan's subordinates. Now that the 3 of them gathered here for revenge, how could Blackpeak spare them? The 6 of them released their constellations at the same time, only to hear Qin Wentian speaking, Mengchen, Qingxian, let's kill them directly. As the sound of his voice faded, the 3 of them released their astral souls at the same time. A violet gold light shone resplendently, illuminating the entire space, causing the hearts of the geniuses to tremble. Celestial phenomenon ascendants with violet gold astral souls were 1 in a trillion. The 3 of them before them were all violet gold in color. The 3 of them stood side by side, the violet gold light from them intertwining together, resembling 3 gods of war, giving off a feeling of invincibility. Die! Blackpeak coldly spoke. Momentarily, the 6 geniuses all unleashed their terrifying might as they rushed over. Boom! The violet gold light shone resplendently as the chimes of bells rang out. Qin Wentian directly rushed into the center of the attacks of the 6. His body erupted with a dazzling light, and in an instant numerous gigantic ancient bells appeared, blasting out in all directions. The tribulation light was terrifying to the extreme, and in the air, a gigantic ancient bell floated there, blocking the attacks of the 6 geniuses. Jun Mengchen roared in rage. Clad in his king armor, he transformed into a war king. With a thunderous roar, he dashed towards one of the 6. Zi Qingxian cooperated with him, transforming into a divine hawk as she sped over with lightning speed. The 2 beside that person instantly tried to rescue him, rushing towards Jun Mengchen and Zi Qingxian. But at this moment, Jun Mengchen and Zi Qingxian directly rushed towards the 2 who blocked their attacks, while Qin Wentian transformed into a wind rock, rushing towards that person. Lifting his palms, numerous violet gold ancient bells emitted a humming sound that shook the heavens and earth, causing the body of that person to tremble violently. He felt his soul trembling as his countenance turned even paler. Each of the ancient bells seemed to contain a tyrannical innate technique. However, how could Qin Wentian unleash so many of them at the same time? In just an instant, the ancient bells directly slammed into that person. The powerful tribulation energy penetrated through his body, instantly killing him. At this moment, the other 3 also arrived. However, Qin Wentian didn't even bother to glance at them. With a wave of his hands, the boundless violet gold ancient bells enveloped the entire sky, rumbling unceasingly, akin to the sound of destruction. Jun Mengchen and Zi Qingxian were both suppressing their opponents. This was especially so for the infuriated Jun Mengchen. He roared unceasingly as boundless resplendent light radiated from him. The The humiliation he felt earlier had completely transformed into the flames of anger. Each and every one of his attacks shook the heavens and earth, akin to an unstoppable war god. His opponents had no way to defend against him. Die! Accompanied by a thunderous boom, Jun Mengqian's attacks directly killed one of the three geniuses who were ganging up on him. As for Black Peak and the other two, they had yet to break through Qin Wentian's defenses. The ancient bells revolved around him, and a violet gold astral soul shrouded him. Every time Qin Wentian attacked, his opponents would feel a sense of impending death. Black Peak and the other two actually didn't dare to take the risk and engage in close combat. The eyes of the spectators narrowed when they saw this scene. They were all shocked by how powerful these three were. Out of the 6 geniuses, 2 of them died in the blink of an eye. Not only that, after Jun Mengqian killed his opponent, he immediately went to Zi Qingshuan's side. In just an instant, the 2 of them joined forces and killed their opponent, who was already in a precarious situation. The situation of 6 against 3 had turned into a situation of 3 against 3 in less than a moment. The 3 geniuses who came over were like sending themselves to their deaths. They didn't have any effect at all. Upon seeing Jun Mengqian and Zi Qingshuan rushing over, Black Peak and the other 2 retreated, halting their attacks. Their countenances were extremely heavy as they stared fixedly at Qin Wentian. What good fortune did this young man obtain? The ancient bell innate technique he cultivated was clearly much stronger compared to the innate techniques of others. Every ancient bell he blasted out contained a mysterious energy, and he could even summon multiple ancient bells from his body with a single strike. In the Eastern Sage Cliff, such combat prowess was simply too shocking. Only a rare few would be able to contend against him. If this was the case, in addition to Jun Mengqian and Zi Qingshuan, not only would the 3 of them have no way to win, they would also be in an extremely dangerous situation. Before this, Qin Wentian alone was able to defend against the attacks of the 3 of them. How could they continue fighting? Chapter 830. Awesome! Jun Mengqian's battle-intent sword. Although he had deep foundations, he had no way to unleash his full strength due to the restrictions of this place. Also, he had arrived at the Eastern Sage Cliff a long time ago and had never left. He only cultivated a single type of innate technique to deal with these people, relying on his tyrannical astral souls as well as his bloodline power. But when he was surrounded, he was completely suppressed, causing him to feel extremely stifled. In fact, even his immortal seat was snatched away by others. When had he ever felt so stifled before? Right now, Qin Wentian, Zi Qingshuan and him once again slaughtered their way over. 3 violet gold astral souls in addition to Qin Wentian's supreme comprehension ability. They were able to kill 3 people in the blink of an eye. It was truly exhilarating. Senior brother Qin's comprehension abilities are truly extraordinary. His understanding of innate techniques far surpasses me. I feel that each and every one of his attacks are incomparably profound, as though they were formed by the heavens. So comfortable just looking at them. Also, I feel that senior brother Qin still has some strength that he has yet to unleash. Just like me, we have a chance to obtain 2 positions in the Heavenly Talisman Realms examination this time around. Jun Mengqian mused. He trusted Qin Wentian very much and was also very confident in himself. Even if he suffered some setbacks here and felt extremely sullen, it wouldn't affect his confidence. Black Peak stared at the 3 of them. His Annihilation Abyss astral soul contained a terrifying devouring energy. Strands of blood-colored light permeated the skies, transforming into blood-colored abyssal devil flames. At this moment, the destructive energy radiating from him had reached a terrifying degree. His eyes seemed to have sunken in, replaced by a pair of abyssal devil flames. When he stared at Qin Wentian and the 2 others, his terrifying eyes seemed to want to devour the perception of the 3 of them. When Qin Wentian unleashed his sharpness, how could Black Peak be willing to remain silent? He released his terrifying astral souls to the extreme, as well as the power of his bloodline power. Black Peak is so powerful. No wonder the Deep Flame Immortal King would choose to accept him as a disciple. The feeling he gives off is too terrifying. The surrounding geniuses were all trembling in their hearts. Evidently, Black Peak was thoroughly enraged at this moment. He was truly enraged in this battle. Originally, I had never thought of playing with you guys seriously. However, since the three of you are so arrogant and want to rely on your meager strength to display yourselves by slaughtering others, I will have you use your lives to pay tribute to your arrogance." Blackpeak's gaze was extremely terrifying. His voice seemed to possess a mysterious magical power, causing everyone to feel how dangerous he was at this moment. "Mengchen, Qingxian, there shouldn't be any pressure for the two of you to kill one each, right?" Qin Wentian said. His voice was light and calm, but when he said it at this moment it made people's hearts tremble. It was as though Qin Wentian didn't place Blackpeak's threat in his eyes at all. It was as though at this moment Blackpeak, who was as powerful as the sovereign king of destruction, wasn't a threat to him at all. That casual voice of his contained disregard. What sort of arrogance and confidence was behind it? Blackpeak, the personal disciple of the Deep Flame Immortal King. His words seemed to have fallen into a bottomless abyss. His three fellow apprentices didn't seem to care at all. "I also wish to test myself against this arrogant fellow. But since senior brother wants to fight, I won't compete with him. As for the other two, I guarantee I won't let any of them leave this place alive." Jun Mengchen spoke with cold arrogance. "Leave it to us," Zi Qingxian simply replied, her voice filled with confidence. This caused Blackpeak's expression to turn extremely unsightly to behold. The abyss of destruction around him howled unceasingly, as though it could no longer suppress the destructive energy contained within, wanting to devour his opponent. "The two of you hold on a little longer," Blackpeak spoke. After that, he stepped out as the abyss of destruction howled, wanting to devour Qin Wentian. A terrifying destructive tempest manifested, containing the power to devour the heavens and earth. Blackpeak punched out, the abyss of destruction fused into his fist, wanting to devour everything. "Your astral souls aren't worthy enough to contend against me." Qin Wentian's voice was cold. His violet gold suppressive astral soul radiated a dazzling light as numerous illusory figures appeared. Behind him, the violet gold suppressive body stood there, unmoving. That terrifying devouring energy had no way to get close to it. Qin Wentian casually punched out. This punch was like a silhouette manifesting, directly suppressing Blackpeak's abyss of destruction. Roar, roar. Roars of rage rang out. The abyss of destruction in the air gushed towards Qin Wentian as a gigantic black hole appeared in the air. A blood-colored light shone within, exuding a fearsome might. However, Qin Wentian stepped out. His suppression astral soul shone with a boundless divine light, fearless of everything, clashing head-on with the abyss of destruction. Die! When Blackpeak saw that his astral souls and bloodline power had no way to destroy Qin Wentian, he was even more enraged. Both his fists punched out frenziedly, causing chaos to erupt in the air as the devouring abyss manifested, transforming into the maw of a malevolent demonic beast. Qin Wentian blasted out with his palms as numerous ancient bells manifested. The chimes of the bells rang out unceasingly, shattering all of Blackpeak's attacks. It was like no matter how Blackpeak attacked, he would still be able to deal with them with indifference. Both of them are so powerful. This man is ranked number 27 in the Cloud Prefecture, but the combat prowess he gained from the Eastern Sage Cliff Range isn't inferior to Blackpeak at all. Not only that, he also has a violet gold astral soul. He's an extremely dangerous character. Someone mused silently. However, Qin Wentian continued to advance, ignoring Blackpeak's attacks. The chimes of the ancient bells rang out unceasingly, reverberating through the air. In a short instant, countless ancient bells manifested, devouring the energy of Blackpeak's cultivation art. Even when Blackpeak unleashed his bloodline power, the spectators could still clearly see him retreating unceasingly, while Qin Wentian continued advancing. At this instant, the numerous ancient bells floated before Qin Wentian, revolving frenziedly. Qin Wentian's palms trembled as the ancient bells converged together into an incomparably gigantic calamity annihilation, ancient bell that blasted out. Blackpeak roared in rage when he sensed the tyrannical might contained within. Both his hands were covered in terrifying abyssal flames as he abruptly pushed them out. Humph! Qin Wentian coldly snorted, filled with disdain. He lifted the ancient bell in his hand and advanced forward with a speed as fast as lightning. Everywhere he passed by, everything was destroyed. There was no energy that could block him at all. When the terrifying abyss of destruction slammed into him, it directly shattered apart. Boom! When the abyssal devil flames blasted out by Black Peak came into contact with the ancient bell, the violent abyssal devil flames became agitated. However, the abyssal devil flames were unceasingly shattered and extinguished bit by bit. However, the ancient bell was still radiating boundless calamity light and terrifying suppressive energy. Black Peak's astral souls howled in rage. Both his palms manifested a towering abyss of annihilation as he directly blasted it towards Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian didn't seem to mind at all. He directly pushed the ancient bell downwards, causing the sounds of the bell to ring out unceasingly. The abyss of annihilation was corroded by the boundless calamity light as it was suppressed by the suppressive might. Black Peak groaned in misery as his countenance turned incredibly unsightly. He felt as though his soul was about to be destroyed by the sound of the bell. He abruptly blasted out with his palms, borrowing the power of the rebound force to retreat with explosive speed. However, he felt his vision blur as he blasted out his palms. It was as though he had to endure the suppressive might of the ancient bell as well. Qin Wentian was like a gust of wind, chasing after Black Peak with the ancient bell in his hands. Just like that, he destroyed everything. Black Peak's countenance was incredibly ugly to behold. He gathered his strength and blasted out, yet his attack was destroyed once again. Boom! Qin Wentian's silhouette descended as the ancient bell slammed into Black Peak's body once more. Black Peak groaned in misery as blood seeped out from the corner of his mouth. Qin Wentian was like a god of death, relentlessly chasing after him. The light from the ancient bell dimmed before it once again shone with a resplendent radiance, as though it would never be extinguished. The spectators were all dumbfounded. Qin Wentian only used a single attack, yet it caused Black Peak's astral soul to grow dimmer and dimmer as he repeatedly coughed out fresh blood. Boom boom. The bell chime seemed to have a unique rhythm to it. The ancient bell wouldn't be extinguished, destroying Black Peak's body time and time again, as well as his will. The eyes of the silhouette that was pushing the ancient bell were as cold as ever, devoid of emotions. Yet for some unknown reason it caused people to feel a chill down their spines. Such an attack was akin to destroying Black Peak, humiliating him. Just a single attack from me is enough to make you unable to defend against it. How can you still fight against me? Indeed, Black Peak had already unleashed all of his techniques, yet he still couldn't break through Qin Wentian's attacks. His injuries continued to worsen, but the thing that was suffering the most was his arrogant heart. Don't you want our lives? Is that it? Qin Wentian coldly spat out as he attacked, causing Black Peak to cough out another mouthful of blood. Now that this sentence was spoken by Qin Wentian, how ironic was it? It was like a slap to his face. Do you really think you can win for sure? Black Peak howled in rage. Boundless devilish flames erupted from his body, wanting to devour him whole, transforming him into an abyss. I want you to die without a burial ground. Accompanied by a terrifying howl, Black Peak's entire person fused together with the abyss. He no longer retreated, but instead lunged towards Qin Wentian, wanting to devour the ancient bell as well as Qin Wentian. You forced me to do this. An extremely cold voice rang out. The abyss had already devoured Qin Wentian, causing the crowd to tremble. Black Peak was at an absolute disadvantage, yet he was still able to counterattack, erupting forth with such terrifying destructive might. How terrifying! Senior brother. Jun Mingchen's countenance stiffened. At this moment, boundless violet golden light radiated from the abyss. Within the terrifying abyss, Qin Wentian sat cross-legged within an incomparably gigantic bell. He lifted his hands, causing the bell chimes to ring out unceasingly, tearing the abyss apart bit by bit. At this instant, Black Peak's countenance contorted as a powerful beam of light erupted forth. With a thunderous boom, the abyss shattered apart as Black Peak's body reappeared. However, his body was so badly battered that it seemed as though it was about to shatter. Fresh blood gushed out from him. Just this little bit of strength? Qin Wentian floated in the air once more as he spoke. I'm afraid the disciple of the deep flame immortal king will die here today. Chapter 831. How powerful! Qin Wentian's voice drifted into the ears of everyone, causing their hearts to tremble. Could it be that Qin Wentian really dared to kill Black Peak? although the two of them had a conflict. Who was Black Peak? He was the personal disciple of the Deep Flame Immortal King. What sort of character was the Deep Flame Immortal King? He was a capable war general of the Eastern Sage Immortal Emperor, and was highly regarded by the Eastern Sage Immortal Emperor. His influence in the Dongshangshan Gate was also extremely high, and his status was extremely high. The reason why they came to participate in this grand event was firstly to temper themselves and raise their strength. Secondly, they wanted to join the Dongshangshan Gate and become a core disciple. However, if Qin Wentian killed Black Peak, wouldn't that be equivalent to smacking the face of the Deep Flame Immortal King? Even if he really managed to enter the Dongshangshan Gate, he would definitely be in an extremely miserable state. Black Peak didn't think so much. Right now, he only felt humiliation. Even after using his strongest technique, he was still unable to kill Qin Wentian and was heavily injured instead. Now, it was basically impossible for him to win against this person before him. How hateful! Black Peak roared in his heart. He had a body full of strength and had cultivated many tyrannical immortal arts from his master. But under the restrictions of this place, he was completely useless. Even if he was the personal disciple of the Deep Flame Immortal King, he was no different from the others in the Eastern Sage Cliff Range. His strength was greatly restricted while Qin Wentian's luck seemed to be very good. He had cultivated an extremely powerful innate technique which allowed him to have an extremely high combat prowess. Such a battle was destined for him to lose. Black Peak was filled with reluctance in his heart, but his face had already been thrown away for sure. In the following battles, you will definitely die extremely miserably. Black Peak roared in rage. After which, boundless abyssal devil flames erupted from his body and gushed towards Qin Wentian. Streams of black smoke drifted in different directions, and Black Peak himself also transformed into a wisp of black smoke, finally admitting defeat here, and was actually preparing to flee. What a joke! Qin Wentian snorted. Boundless light from the law diagram in the air flowed into Qin Wentian's body. He transformed into a wind rock, riding on the wind. Both his palms trembled as countless ancient bells blotted out the sky, raining down from the heavens, wanting to destroy everything. Popping sounds rang out unceasingly as the black fog was directly dissipated. In just an instant, Qin Wentian's gaze locked onto a black fog that was fleeing into the distance. Buzz! Qin Wentian, who had transformed into a wind rock, resembled the true wind rock great saint. His figure flickered through the air, and in a short instant, he had already caught up to Black Peak. After that, the crowd only heard a blood-curdling scream that caused their hearts to tremble. You are courting death! Black Peak roared in rage. Boom! A terrifying bell chime rang out, accompanied by Black Peak's screams of agony. It was as though he had been tortured to the extreme. The gazes of the crowd pierced through the air, only to see that over there, Black Peak's body had already fallen to the ground. Qin Wentian held the ancient bell in his hand and directly pressed it down on Black Peak's body. Qin Wentian's foot stepped on Black Peak's body as he coldly stared at him. Arg! Black Peak's eyes were as dark as the abyss. He howled as his aura gushed forth explosively. However, Qin Wentian's countenance didn't change. He directly slammed his palms onto the ancient bell, causing it to ring out once more. Black Peak violently coughed out blood. His countenance was completely drained as his aura grew increasingly weak. Back then in the Immortal Palace, you already didn't have the qualifications to be so arrogant in front of me. Although you are a disciple of the Deep Flame sect, so what? With the same conditions, I can easily suppress you. Qin Wentian stared at Black Peak as he emotionlessly spoke. Black Peak's body trembled. He stared at Qin Wentian. Regardless of whether you kill me or not, this tempering exercise will be your doomsday. How regretful. This place has greatly restricted me. If not, you will soon see the disparity between us. Oh! Qin Wentian coldly laughed as he stared at Black Peak. Do you know why I haven't killed you yet? Black Peak's countenance stiffened as he stared at Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian, did he not dare to do so? This man had once publicly rejected the Eastern Sage Immortal Emperor. Given his personality, there shouldn't be anything he wouldn't dare to do. In addition, right now, Qin Wentian's life was already in his hands. He could kill him anytime he wanted. Why was he still wasting his breath? Because in my eyes you are basically nothing. Whether I kill you or not, there's no meaning to me. If it wasn't for you taking the initiative to provoke me, I wouldn't even bother to deal with you. Qin Wentian's palms trembled as the gigantic ancient bell directly shattered into pieces. The sound of the bell chimes caused Black Peak to violently cough out a mouthful of fresh blood, only to see Qin Wentian turning and walking away. He didn't kill Black Peak. It was like he truly didn't care about Black Peak's life at all. I still remember back then, the Deep Flame Immortal King didn't like me no matter how much he looked at me. Since you are the disciple of the Deep Flame Immortal King, I will spare you from death. I only hope that you won't disappoint me too much in the future. If not, the Deep Flame Immortal King's face wouldn't look good. Qin Wentian's voice directly rang out in Black Peak's mind, filled with absolute coldness and arrogance. He didn't kill Black Peak because he felt disdain. He gave Black Peak a chance because he wanted to show the Deep Flame Immortal King, oh yeah, it's best if you don't get killed by others. If not, you wouldn't even have the qualifications to advance to the next round. Qin Wentian turned his gaze over as he spoke. His eyes were filled with a piercing pain as he stared at Black Peak. Qin Wentian sparing his life was even more unbearable than killing him. Such humiliation pierced deeply into his arrogant heart. The personal disciple of the Deep Flame Immortal King, a war general under the Eastern Sage Immortal Emperor. He who was originally a supreme genius actually needed someone to spare him from death, taking pity on him and sparing his life, all for the sake of humiliating him in front of his master. What level of contempt was this? What level of humiliation was this? It caused his entire body to convulse and tremble. In the 100 Immortals Forest, several geniuses were paying attention to the battle between Qin Wentian and Black Peak. Upon seeing Qin Wentian's return, all of them cast a deep glance at Qin Wentian. This man was truly extraordinary. Even someone as powerful as Black Peak was suppressed by him. Black Peak didn't even have the strength to flee, and was almost killed by him. If it wasn't for the fact that Black Peak was the personal disciple of the Deep Flame Immortal King, Qin Wentian of the Cloud Prefecture would definitely kill Black Peak on the spot. However, this place was still the Dongshangshan Gate after all. Black Peak's status was somewhat transcendent. Although he wasn't an official disciple of the Dongshangshan Gate, since he was accepted as a personal disciple of the Deep Flame Immortal King, he could already be considered a member of the Dongshangshan Gate. For this selection test, he was merely here to temper himself. Qin Wentian didn't dare to kill him in the end, but even so, humiliating Black Peak like this was already extremely audacious. They had no idea why Qin Wentian would spare Black Peak. They only thought that Qin Wentian wouldn't dare to kill him. In addition, Jun Mengchen and Zi Qingxian had already concluded their battles, killing their opponents. The three of them were completely unscathed, and out of the 6 geniuses, only Black Peak was still alive. Not only that, it was Qin Wentian who spared his life. If not, Black Peak would have died as well. These 3 fellow apprentices are all extraordinary. We mustn't antagonize them easily. Those in the surroundings silently mused. At this moment, there was no one occupying the immortal statue that radiated a towering battle chi. Nobody dared to snatch it anymore. Before this, when Black Peak tried to snatch it, he was already in such a miserable state. It was impossible for ordinary people to win against him. Mengchen, you can focus on your cultivation now. Qin Wentian spoke to Jun Mengchen. I finally vented my anger. Senior, do you have any immortal statues that you fancy? We can directly snatch them. Jun Mengchen spoke, his words causing the hearts of those who occupied the immortal statues to tremble as they stared at the 3 of them with wariness in their eyes. If the 3 of them really joined forces to snatch the immortal statues, it would truly be hard for them to resist. There's no need. In the Eastern Sage Cliff Refinement Grounds, everyone has to depend on their own strength. If it wasn't for the fact that there were people who joined forces to deal with you, I wouldn't have acted. But since this matter has already been resolved, if Qingxian and I want to compete for the immortal statues, we will naturally have to depend on our own strength. Qin Wentian shook his head. Jun Mengchen nodded. Okay then, I will go and cultivate then. After speaking, Jun Mengchen's silhouette flickered as he directly appeared before the immortal statue and silently contemplated. No one dared to disturb him again. Qin Wentian slowly walked through the 100 Immortals Forest, passing by numerous immortal statues. Occasionally, he would stop and continue on his way. Every time he stopped, the The people around him would instantly feel a sense of wariness in their hearts as they stared coldly at him. Not too long after, Qin Wentian had already strolled through the entire 100 Immortals forest. He discovered that the closer he got to the immortal statues, the stronger the immortal might radiating from them. The 18 immortal statues at the very front had the most tyrannical auras, and each of them represented an immortal. Their cultivation bases were different, hence the might contained within the immortal statues were different as well. The strolling Qin Wentian finally halted his steps, stopping in front of one of the 18 immortal statues at the very front. However, these 18 immortal statues were still immersed in their cultivation, as though they didn't know of Qin Wentian's existence. Even when Qin Wentian fought against Black Peak earlier, they didn't even bother to look at it. They were completely immersed in their own insights and nobody would be able to disturb them. This was also a form of self-confidence. The medallions on their chests indicated that all of them were ranked within the top 3 of the Eastern Sage 13 prefectures. Gusu Tianqi was also here. The immortal statues behind them were all ranked at the very top. However, none of them fought against the 18 immortal statues at the very front. All of them understood that if they fought against each other, the victor would be unknown. Hence, they might as well strengthen themselves first and wait for an empty spot to appear before taking another step forward. Only to see that at this moment, Gusu Tianqi's eyes opened as he stared at the immortal statue before him. After which, he bowed slightly and soared up into the air, continuing to search for other good fortune. Among the 360 immortal statues here, he chose one for himself. He wasn't greedy and wouldn't take the initiative to fight against others, because to him there was no need for him to do so. His goal was only to become the top ranker. In the Eastern Sage Cliff, no one dared to take the initiative to challenge him. He only had a single purpose in the Eastern Sage Cliff, and that was to constantly search for good fortune to improve himself. As Gusu Tianqi soared up into the air, one of the 18 immortal statues at the very front appeared. The eyes of the geniuses behind him all opened as their eyes gleamed with a resplendent light. They were all staring at that immortal statue, yet not a single one of them ascended it. They all understood that this immortal statue wasn't a place that just anyone could ascend. But at this moment they saw a figure leisurely walking towards the immortal statue, causing the gazes of everyone to freeze. After that, they only saw the silhouette of this young man casually ascending the immortal statue. Chapter 832. After Gusu Tianqi left, the immortal statue he left behind stood at the very front. When he left, the crowd didn't rush towards him like how they did when the other immortal statues appeared. Nobody moved at all, because the immortal statue at the very front was the one everyone was staring at. Behind the 18 statues, countless gazes were fixed on it, including those ranked at the very top. Even for them, they didn't dare to casually step on it because they understood that at this moment, if someone stepped on it, that person would definitely become the target of everyone else. But at this moment, a figure walked up as though nothing had happened, ignoring the gazes of the crowd. This young man was as calm as the clouds and wind. Was this confidence or was it because he was ignorant? Numerous gazes landed on Qin Wentian. At this instant, Qin Wentian could clearly sense many pairs of eyes staring at him. However, in this place there were 18 statues. If the others could occupy one of them, why couldn't he? If there was someone who wanted to provoke him, he would tell everyone that rather than provoking him, Qin Wentian, they might as well look for the other 17 geniuses. Within the Eastern Sage Cliff, astral energy flowed endlessly, never stopping. Who else would have an advantage compared to him who cultivated the spiritual refinement method? He had comprehended the Calamity Annihilation Ancient Bell for a very long time, and was already able to instantly condense the divine energy within it. Hence, with a single attack of his, he could blast out countless ancient bells with shocking might, domineeringly suppressing Black Peak. Even when someone as powerful as Black Peak unleashed all sorts of attacks, it was all useless. Qin Wentian stared at the immortal statue before him. When he observed it from the side, he could feel a powerful battle intent radiating from it. However, there was nothing special about it. Yet, Qin Wentian could faintly sense that there was something within this immortal statue that attracted him. But when he personally sat on the immortal seat and stared at the statue at this instant, the eyes of the statue seemed to come into contact with him. That pair of eyes that were as boundless as the starry sky seemed to contain an incomparably terrifying will. In just an instant, Qin Wentian's eyes seemed to have fallen into a trance as his will and perception were all devoured. He only felt a towering will appearing in front of him. This statue seemed to have transformed into a supreme character that stood in front of him, exuding a battle might that caused the hearts of those who saw it to tremble. Qin Wentian only felt that his will was about to be devoured by this will. In front of this statue he was actually so tiny and inconsequential. Boom! Qin Wentian's heart pounded violently as his will struggled to break free. In just an instant he felt cold sweat dripping down his back. Glancing to his left and right, the other 17 statues were still in their cultivation, completely immersed. Did they really not care about the attacks of others? Or could it be that in front of these statues, once they entered a state, it would be extremely difficult for them to be distracted? This statue seems to contain an extremely powerful will of battle. In addition, there seems to be a mysterious energy within. Qin Wentian silently mused. At this moment someone spoke. "You are standing there. Yet you seem so calm and composed." This voice drifted over from behind Qin Wentian. His indifferent tone contained hints of mockery. As one of the top 5 geniuses of the Qian prefecture, it was very hard for him to imagine that this person ranked number 27 of the Cloud Prefecture would actually dare to walk up to the statue that Gusu Tianqi left behind. Not only that, when facing the gazes of the crowd, it was as though he didn't care at all. He was so calm and composed. "If anyone wants it, come and take it." Qin Wentian didn't turn his head and directly spoke. That indifferent tone of his didn't seem to be spoken out of arrogance, but rather, it was because of his confidence in his own strength. What do everyone think? The person who spoke earlier coldly laughed as he stared at the surroundings. Many people were staring at Qin Wentian. All of them wanted that statue. That was the place where Gusu Tianqi cultivated before. Not only that, Gusu Tianqi only comprehended a single statue before he left. What else can we think? Naturally, whoever is stronger will be the one to snatch it. A voice rang out. This person who spoke was also one of the top rankers, an expert from the Western Desert Prefecture. He had a muscular physique and was about 3 meters tall. His skin glowed with a green light and his features were extremely ugly, resembling a monster. There were many different races in the Western Desert Prefecture, and there were all kinds of wuxiu. There were monks like Sorrowless and there were also giants with gigantic physiques. They were born with the bloodline of giants, and their physiques were extremely huge. This ugly genius was a genius from one of the strongest tribes in the Western Desert Prefecture. Boom! As the sound of his voice faded, his body directly dashed out. Although his physique was huge, his movements were extremely agile. His gigantic body transformed into a beam of green light that shot towards Qin Wentian. Not only that, his entire body seemed to be filled with an incomparably terrifying explosive might. His arms blasted out as they expanded explosively, bringing with them a fearsome might that caused the air to whistle. That fearsome might directly shot towards Qin Wentian, causing the hearts of the spectators to tremble. Qin Wentian stood at his original location. He didn't even bother to turn his body. With a backhand, the Calamity Annihilation Ancient Bell appeared, unceasingly slamming into that terrifying arm, directly shattering it. However, that genius wasn't injured in the slightest. His arm reverted back to its normal size as he floated in the air, staring at the back of Qin Wentian. Arrogant! That ugly giant roared in rage as 8 arms grew out from his body. Swishing sounds rang out as each of his arms expanded explosively. All of them grabbed towards Qin Wentian, terrifying to the extreme. Qin Wentian turned and with a step, he directly floated in the air. Both of his arms blasted out unceasingly as the bell chimes rang out unceasingly. In just an instant, the entire space was filled with the Calamity Annihilation Ancient Bell, revolving around Qin Wentian, unceasingly blasting out. Destructive might shook this entire space, and the 8 arms of the ugly giant were soon shattered. The hearts of the spectators trembled when they saw the Calamity Annihilation Ancient Bell in the air. After that, they only saw Qin Wentian waving his hands as a violet gold astral soul gushed forth, causing an oppressive pressure to permeate this entire space. Go! Qin Wentian coldly spoke. At this moment, the movements of his palms seemed to contain a mystical rhythm. Countless ancient bells converged together, transforming into a terrifying calamity annihilation ancient bell. It was over 100 meters tall and directly blasted out. This bell was even larger compared to the one he used to deal with Black Peak earlier. This ancient bell was manifested from countless smaller bells that revolved around it. The bell chimes shook the heavens and earth as beams of golden light unceasingly blasted onto the body of the ugly giant. The giant roared in rage as a three-headed and six-armed form manifested. Qin Wentian blasted out once more as the gigantic bell of destruction blasted downwards. The destructive light from the bell directly destroyed everything in its path. That ugly giant screamed in pain as he clutched his head with both hands. Boom! The gigantic bell slammed down as the body of the ugly giant directly exploded. He had no strength to resist at all. The terrifying bell of destruction continued to descend. Qin Wentian coldly swept his gaze over everyone as he spoke. If everyone feels that I, Qin, am a pushover, feel free to come at me. But if anyone dares to disturb my cultivation, I will kill them all without mercy, just like what happened earlier. As the sound of his voice faded, Qin Wentian waved his hands as the bell chimes reverberated through the air. The gigantic bell dissipated as Qin Wentian turned and stared at the statue. It was as though he had forgotten about the cold gazes in the surroundings. He used this battle to tell everyone that since the 17 experts beside him could sit stably in front of the statue, he, Qin Wentian, could do the same as well. If anyone dares to seize the throne, he would kill them all without mercy. Only then would he be able to intimidate everyone. Hence, Qin Wentian wasn't polite at all, and directly used tyrannical methods to attack. The impact was even greater compared to when he fought against Black Peak. Many of the spectators had already witnessed the battle between Qin Wentian and Black Peak. Right now, when they saw Qin Wentian's domineering attacks, they couldn't help but to sigh in their hearts. Within the Eastern Sage Cliff, given Qin Wentian's strength, he could be ranked at the very top. This man was someone they couldn't afford to antagonize. Those geniuses at the front all had cold gazes that flickered unceasingly as they stared at Qin Wentian. It was as though they were contemplating Qin Wentian's strength. Would they be able to deal with him or not? A violet gold astral soul, a tyrannical attack type innate technique. Qin Wentian's danger level wouldn't be any lower compared to the others. Could it be that after Gusu Tianqi left, they had to wait for him to comprehend the will of the statue? The shocking effect of this battle was clear to see. No one dared to act recklessly anymore. Qin Wentian started to immerse himself in comprehending the will of the statue. The more he comprehended, the more astonished he was. Not only did this statue contain an incomparably tyrannical battle will, it was like a tyrannical immortal art. This immortal art was able to summon towering battle might, causing one's entire body to be shrouded with unfathomable might. In the illusory space, Qin Wentian appeared. Before him, numerous terrifying will manifested. All of them were the will of the statue. Each of them contained a fearsome battle might, akin to a supreme war king, unexcelled in the world. These will shadow manifested together with Qin Wentian's comprehension. The deeper his comprehension, the more will manifested. How powerful! Qin Wentian could faintly sense that there was a strange reaction within his body. It was as though this incomparably wondrous mandate of will was channeled into his body, causing a terrifying battle intent to ignite within him. He could faintly sense the divine essence of these statues, as his aura grew even more powerful. Rumble! Yet another will manifested in the illusory space. This will manifested a fearsome battle halo around it, incomparably resplendent. Not only that, the halo grew increasingly brighter and more terrifying. A beam of intense light shot over. Instantly, a gigantic word battle appeared in the air. This word contained a towering battle might that directly gushed into Qin Wentian's illusory body. In just an instant, Qin Wentian felt that he had gained a unique will that could strengthen his body and raise his combat prowess. It was extremely miraculous. Also, this statue wasn't directly imparted to him. The deeper his comprehension, the more tyrannical the inheritance would be. Chapter 833. Battle Art. The will of this immortal statue can be transformed into an immortal battle art. Qin Wentian sighed in his heart as he fully immersed himself in comprehending this mysterious inheritance battle art. This battle art was unfathomably mysterious. Although it seemed like there was only a single type of will, if one's comprehension was deep enough, they would be able to see some extraordinary things. This battle art was formed from the will of the cultivator, and was in perfect harmony with the cultivator's body, as well as their essence, chi, and spirit. A mysterious aura circulated within his body. In the illusory space, Qin Wentian's entire body was enveloped by an intense halo of light, as a towering battle intent radiated from him. He was like an immortal king in combat. This process of comprehension took several days. However, Qin Wentian couldn't sense the flow of time at all. It was as though a short period of time had just passed. In the illusory space, the intense light radiating from his body was incomparably resplendent. The will of battle was extremely terrifying as rumbling sounds rang out from his body, as though his body was about to explode, unable to withstand the tyrannical will of battle. Terrifying rumbling sounds rang out from his body. The illusory body was formed from Qin Wentian's will, and when he comprehended the battle art, it represented Qin Wentian's true self. As he comprehended the battle art, a battle song rang out from his body as his strength skyrocketed. The energy in his body seemed to have transcended the limits of his physical body, causing Qin Wentian to feel as though his body was about to explode. A tyrannical bloodline power gushed forth, as though a primordial demon king had appeared. This caused Qin Wentian's body to glow with a blood-colored light. His body stabilized as he gradually absorbed the will of battle, enduring the tempering. Rumbling sounds rang out unceasingly. Qin Wentian's body seemed to be transforming unceasingly. In the external world, Qin Wentian stood on top of the immortal statue. Occasionally, rumbling sounds could be heard from his body. These strange rumbling sounds seemed to indicate a transformation, causing the gazes of everyone to be fixated on Qin Wentian. The reaction of this fellow was extremely similar to Gusu Tianqi. He must have obtained the inheritance from the immortal statue, causing his body to have such a strange reaction. The 360 immortal statues in the 100 Immortals Forest are the inheritances left behind by the 360 immortals of the Dongshengshan Gate. The statues at the very front are all inheritances of immortal kings. Especially for these 18 statues, it's rumored that they are all extremely powerful immortal kings. Even immortals would come here to cultivate and gain good fortune. The main reason why the Eastern Sage Cliff is known as a holy land for cultivation is because of the 100 Immortals Forest. However, the statues at the very front are definitely extremely rare. Some of the geniuses of the Eastern Prefecture were more familiar with the Dongshengshan Gate. They were silently musing that if everyone could easily obtain the inheritance from the immortal statues, wouldn't the disciples of the Dongshengshan Gate be incomparably terrifying? The stronger the inheritance, the harder it was to comprehend. It was just like a powerful immortal art. Gusu Tianqi and Qin Wentian both comprehended the same immortal statue. No one knew who would be able to comprehend it more deeply. After that, Gusu Tianqi soared through the air and left. It definitely wasn't because he had completely comprehended the inheritance. He must have reached a bottleneck and knew that he had no way to continue comprehending it. This was why he chose to leave in search of other good fortune. For the 18 statues at the very front, let alone celestial phenomenon ascendants, even immortals wouldn't be able to fully comprehend the power contained within. Hence, from a certain perspective, for those with insufficient comprehension abilities, rather than comprehending the immortal statues at the front, they might as well try to comprehend the immortal statues at the back, which were easier to comprehend. Being able to fully comprehend a type of energy was much more useful compared to just comprehending the slightest bit of it. Qin Wentian's body trembled for a long time before a bright light erupted forth. It was as though his body had undergone a transformation. Although it only lasted for an instant, the instant the light flashed, a tyrannical battle intent gushed forth, causing the eyes of those who were staring at him to gleam with sharpness. However, after that, Qin Wentian's aura calmed down once more as he fully focused on his cultivation. It was as though he wouldn't be able to sense it even if someone were to attack him now. At this moment, a figure slowly walked over. This person was none other than a genius of the Supreme Moon Prefecture. He exuded no aura at all and was completely retracted. Only his gaze would be able to sense his existence. Upon staring at this person, the spectators couldn't help but feel a chill in their hearts. This person gave off an extremely sinister feeling, like a hunter traversing the darkness, searching for his prey. What does he want to do? Someone noticed the actions of this person, and upon seeing him stopping not far away from Qin Wentian, they instantly realized something. This person wanted to sneak attack Qin Wentian. Such an action was extremely despicable, especially for geniuses of the Eastern Sage Cliff sect. Fighting openly and seizing immortal foundations was something you could do, but sneak attacking others to kill them was simply despicable. However, not everyone would care about what others thought of them. For those who walked the path of darkness, they had outstanding talent and would do anything to achieve their goals. They didn't care about the process at all. This person who approached Qin Wentian was precisely such a person. Qin Wentian. A voice rang out. It was Zi Qingxian, who just so happened to see someone wanting to act against Qin Wentian. Hence, she called out to warn him. But at the same instant she spoke, that person who was retracting his aura abruptly erupted forth. His speed was extremely fast, akin to a dark bolt of lightning. The sickle of the Grim Reaper directly slashed out, aiming for Qin Wentian's head, wanting to sever Qin Wentian's head with a single strike. If this strike landed, Qin Wentian would die for sure. This strike was simply too fast. This person seemed to have long been prepared for someone to warn him. Hence, at the instant the warning was given, he had already launched his attack. In just an instant, his sickle was already about to sever Qin Wentian's head, and at the same instant, Qin Wentian's body trembled violently. Bell chimes rang out as numerous ancient bells manifested around him. At the same time, a gigantic bell screen of light enveloped him. The death sickle slashed down, causing the sounds of metal clanging to ring out unceasingly. However, it wasn't able to sever Qin Wentian's head, only to see Qin Wentian abruptly turning, his countenance cold. The senses of stellar martial cultivators were extremely sharp, especially for those who have cultivated to his level. They would instantly be able to sense danger. Although he was immersed in his cultivation, he would still be able to sense danger. Given his strength, he would be able to react in the shortest time possible. Even if Zi Qingxian didn't warn him, this person wouldn't be able to threaten him. Rumble. An intense light erupted forth. A terrifying battle intent gushed forth from Qin Wentian as a battle halo enveloped him. The ancient bells manifested unceasingly, coalescing into a gigantic ancient bell. That sneak attacker instantly retreated after his attack failed. Upon seeing the aura radiating from Qin Wentian, he decisively turned and fled. Bang! Qin Wentian stepped onto the platform, transforming into a wind rock. His speed was even faster compared to before he comprehended the immortal statue. That terrifying battle halo seemed to amplify his strength, causing him to resemble a god of war. That sneak attacker's speed was also extremely fast, but the distance between him and the wind rock continued to shorten. In the blink of an eye, the two of them had already left the 100 Immortals forest, transforming into two black dots. But even so, given the vision of everyone, they were still able to clearly see the situation in the distance. They only saw Qin Wentian finally nearing the ambusher. The ancient bell blasted out with boundless might, containing a towering battle might, directly slamming into the body of the ambusher. Qin Wentian showed no mercy, not giving his opponent any chance to flee. Even if he had to temporarily give up on the immortal condor, he still wanted to kill the ambusher. Qin Wentian turned and returned to the immortal statue not long after. He stood in the air with a cold expression as he stared at the immortal statue that was occupied by someone else. There was actually someone who seized the immortal statue while he was away. Since you have already left, this immortal statue is now mine. That person was a genius ranked number 4, and had extremely powerful combat prowess. He stared at Qin Wentian as a fiery heat flickered in his eyes. Scram! Qin Wentian spat out, not giving his opponent any face. His words instantly caused the expression of that person to change as a cold intent gushed forth from him. Boom boom boom. The bell chimes rang out unceasingly. Qin Wentian's battle halo shone resplendently as he transformed into a young battle king. The chimes of the ancient bell chimes rang out unceasingly, shaking the souls of the spectators. Qin Wentian stretched out his palm as the ancient bell chimes converged, transforming into an incomparably terrifying battle bell that revolved in Qin Wentian's hand. Destructive light flashed as this gigantic battle bell exuded a fearsome might. That expert standing on the immortal statue felt the might of the battle bell at such a close distance. His countenance drastically changed, becoming extremely unsightly to behold. The destructive light unceasingly blasted into his surroundings. As long as Qin Wentian acted, he would instantly be killed. 3. Qin Wentian coldly spat out, directly counting down, causing the countenance of the heaven chosen to turn ashen. 2. A second voice rang out from Qin Wentian. That person's aura fluctuated wildly as his battle intent towered up into the sky. He wanted nothing more than to roar in rage and soar up into the air, fighting a great battle with Qin Wentian. At this moment, Qin Wentian's aura grew even stronger as the battle bell chimes rang out. After which, Qin Wentian stepped out as he coldly stated, 1. As the sound of his voice faded, that expert's aura seemed to have dissipated. With a single step, he directly left the immortal statue, giving up his seat. This caused everyone to sigh. One of the top 5 rankers of a prefecture was actually frightened away by Qin Wentian. Although this person was ranked number 27 in the Cloud Prefecture, in the Eastern Sage Cliff, he possessed terrifying combat prowess. Not only that, this person's comprehension abilities must be extraordinary. If not, how could he comprehend the immortal statue in such a short period of time? Qin Wentian coldly glanced at the person who left. After that, he stepped out and landed on the seat of the immortal statues. The towering battle might radiating from him was as strong as ever. Lifting his palm, he blasted out a gigantic battle bell, causing the heavens and earth to tremble as a destructive might gushed forth, causing chaotic currents of qi to engulf the entire space. However, his attack was only aimed at the air, there was no target. I'll say it one last time. If anyone dares to provoke me again, I will kill them all. Regardless of who they are, unless they kill me, only death awaits you. Qin Wentian icily spoke, his tone tyrannical. Earlier, when he was fully immersed in comprehending the immortal statue, he was interrupted. One could very well imagine the rage in his heart. Also, the immortal statue contained an extremely powerful battle art. He had to do his best to comprehend it. He couldn't allow his comprehension to be interrupted by others. Hence he had to be domineering. Gusu Tianqi didn't dare to touch anyone, but he, Qin Wentian, dared to bully him. His voice was like a declaration of war. Whoever dared to provoke him, he would have to fight to the death. Chapter 834. Qin Wentian's voice reverberated through the air. As the sound of his voice faded, he closed his eyes again and stood before the immortal statue. His will entered within as though he was immersed within. Numerous statues with towering battle qi appeared before his eyes. Each of the statues shone with battle halos, transforming into marvelous diagrams that flowed through every inch of their bodies. This immortal battling art is unfathomably profound. I wonder how much I can comprehend from it. Qin Wentian didn't dare to be distracted and immersed himself in his comprehension. Time flowed by. The number of geniuses in the Eastern Sage Cliff range decreased. From that day onwards, no one dared to disturb Qin Wentian's cultivation. Occasionally, Qin Wentian would erupt forth with battle halos. Today, in the illusory space, a roar of rage rang out from Qin Wentian's body. His terrifying will transformed into a supreme might, causing a humming sound to echo out from within his body. Once again, his body showed signs of cracking apart, as though he couldn't endure it any longer. A dazzling battle halo radiated from him, yet it seemed as though it wanted to tear his body apart first. Ordinary people wouldn't be able to endure the pressure of this battle art. It was simply too terrifying. Qin Wentian's bloodline roared again as his ancient demon bloodline erupted forth. His entire body glowed with a blood-colored light as crackling sounds rang out unceasingly, protecting and stabilizing his body. Boom boom boom. The humming sounds continued unceasingly, as though his body was enduring millions of strikes, causing his body to undergo another transformation. The battle halo started to circulate through every inch of his body, causing his battle qi to grow stronger and stronger. Finally, a violent rumbling sound rang out. Qin Wentian's body radiated an even more dazzling battle light compared to before. His entire person was filled with boundless battle intent. Is this the second level of the battle art? How many levels has Gusu Tianqi comprehended? Qin Wentian silently mused. He didn't stop and continued comprehending. The might of this battle art towered up into the sky and was extremely difficult to comprehend. He poured all of his focus into it, but even so, he felt that his comprehension speed was extremely slow. Also, one's comprehension ability was extremely profound. If one couldn't comprehend it, no matter how much time they spent, they still wouldn't be able to comprehend it. Qin Wentian didn't know that being able to comprehend the second level of the battle art within tens of days was already an extremely rare feat. There were only a handful of disciples of the Dongshangshan Gate who had achieved this before. Upon sensing how powerful this immortal battle art was, Qin Wentian's heart was completely focused as he immersed himself in comprehending it. However, after that, when he tried to comprehend the statues, he discovered that it was extremely difficult for him to continue comprehending it. Not only that, the fearsome battle intent permeated his body, and every time it descended, he felt as though his body was about to shatter apart. As the rumbling sounds echoed out, Qin Wentian's ancient demon bloodline erupted forth frenziedly, resembling a supreme demon king. At the same time, strands of white runic light flowed around his body, containing unique runic patterns that unceasingly fused into his body. Very swiftly, Qin Wentian's body was shrouded in a layer of incomparably holy light. His entire person seemed to have undergone a transformation, resembling a descendant of a godly king, dignified and inviolable. The halo of battle intent seeped into Qin Wentian's body, but the effect it had on him gradually lessened. It was no longer able to cause his body to tremble, and the halo of battle intent was even about to be absorbed by his body. At this moment, Qin Wentian's comprehension abilities seemed to have undergone a qualitative transformation. The feeling he felt earlier returned as numerous statues with towering battle might appeared before him. The 100 Immortals' forest gradually calmed down. Those who could remain on the immortal statues were all true geniuses. The others had no way to contend against them. Hence, many of them could only head to the other regions of the Eastern Sage Cliff in search of good fortune. And in the Eastern Sage Cliff, the number of geniuses remaining also grew lesser and lesser. However, for those who could remain, they weren't as focused on combat as before. They spent more time improving themselves, most likely understanding that the purpose of the Eastern Sage Cliff test wasn't merely to select the most outstanding elites, it was also to raise their strength. After all, those who remained at the very end had a high chance of becoming disciples of the Dongshangshan Gate. In the blink of an eye, it has already been half a year since the geniuses entered the Eastern Sage Cliff test. To Immortal Foundation characters, this amount of time couldn't be considered much. After stepping into the Immortal Foundation realm, they would occasionally close their eyes to cultivate, and when they opened their eyes again, several years had already passed. Hence, the immortals outside the Eastern Sage Cliff test were still patiently waiting. Within the Dongshangshan Gate, outside an incomparably majestic palace, a young man could be seen standing there, exuding an extraordinary demeanor. Your Highness, these are the invitations from the various immortal kings. When the grand banquet begins, the immortal kings would all be present. At this moment, a powerful character walked over to the young man and bowed, extremely courteously. The young man received the invitations and casually browsed through them. When the grand banquet begins, his royal father would accept 3 disciples. The Eastern Sage 13 prefectures was held once every 100 years, and the immortal kings would also send invitations in advance. There was basically no need for the Dongshangshan Gate to take the initiative to invite them. This young man was none other than the youngest son of the Dongsheng Heaven Emperor, Dongsheng Ting. This time around, the grand banquet would be hosted by him. As he browsed through the invitations, Dongsheng Ting's expression was calm. These invitations were all sent over by immortal kings, or he wouldn't be able to read them personally. However, as the son of the Dongsheng Heaven Emperor, his status was incomparably lofty. He had seen many immortal kings and all of them were extremely respectful to him. Hence, his horizons were naturally very high, and he wasn't shocked at all when he saw the names of the immortal kings. But at this moment, Dongsheng Ting's eyes suddenly flashed with sharpness as he stared at one of the invitations. There was no specific content on this invitation, only the title Princess of the Evergreen Kingdom. Princess Qing is coming? A A dazzling light flickered in Dong Shangting's eyes. There was actually a hint of heat within. That pair of eyes, which would remain calm even after seeing the names of immortal kings, was now filled with spirit. He wanted to interact with Princess Qing many times, but she ignored him. After that, he didn't even have the chance to meet with her. Now, what was the meaning of this invitation? The princess of the Evergreen Kingdom? Was it Princess Qing, personally coming to attend the grand banquet? During these past few years, he had heard many stories about Princess Qing. She was a woman who was known as an innate immortal king. She unceasingly broke the seals in her body and even took a supreme character as her master, allowing her cultivation to improve at a godly speed. In this vast region, she had already become one of the most famous characters in the immortal realms. Such fame was no longer limited to the regions controlled by an immortal emperor. It was unknown how many supreme geniuses wanted to become the son-in-law of the Chongqing the Great. These people were all the same as Dong Shangting. Regardless of talent or background, they were all extraordinary. For this grand banquet, we have to prepare it well and surpass the previous ones. Let's hope that the participants from the 13 prefectures wouldn't disappoint us. Dong Shangting commanded, his voice thundering out in all directions. Yes, Your Highness. We obey Your Highness' command. Numerous voices rang out. At this moment, a beam of light flashed as a terrifying character appeared beside Dong Shangting. He smiled at Dong Shangting and asked, Your Highness Ting, why are you so happy? Dong Shangting turned his gaze over and passed the letter over to the other party. After that person read it, his countenance also gleamed with sharpness before he laughed, haha. Right now the daughter of the Chongqing the Great, Princess Qing'er, is truly radiating brilliance. Her father is an immortal emperor, and her master is a supreme existence in the immortal realms. Their statuses aren't in any way inferior to her father, and in addition to her innate talent, an innate immortal king, with 2 supreme existences guiding her. If there's anyone who can marry Princess Qing'er, it would definitely cause a huge commotion in the immortal realms. That expert spoke as he cast a deep glance at Dong Shangting. Dong Shangting's eyes flickered with high spirits. He didn't hide his thoughts at all. The people around him could naturally sense it. Only a woman like Princess Qing'er would be worthy of him. Dong Shangting. Has the first round of the competition at the Eastern Sage Cliff ended yet? Dong Shangting asked. It should be done soon. That expert replied. Dong Shangting nodded. At this moment in the Eastern Sage Cliff, the geniuses were all comprehending their own insights or fighting against each other. For the 18 statues at the forefront, there were people who left while there were others who succeeded. Naturally, a great battle was unavoidable. However, Qin Wentian didn't leave from the start. The battle art within the statues was too profound. It was impossible for him to completely comprehend it. In the illusory space, several statues manifested before Qin Wentian unceasingly. An incomparably powerful battle halo radiated from his body as rumbling sounds echoed unceasingly. Both his bloodlines were activated at the same time. Qin Wentian, who was like a descendant of a god king, was as calm as still water. Even if there was a towering battle around him, it wouldn't affect him in the slightest. Rumbling sounds rang out unceasingly as the will of battle unceasingly bombarded his body. Finally, a resplendent beam of light shot out. Qin Wentian's body was bathed in boundless battle, might as he transformed into a young battle king. The will of battle before him transformed into an incomparably profound diagram, imprinting itself into his vision as it rushed into his will. Boom! As this terrifying will bore down on him, Qin Wentian, who was standing on the statue, abruptly shuddered. After that, he groaned in misery as his eyes abruptly opened, gleaming with sharpness as a towering battle intent flashed within. Qin Wentian's mind trembled violently. His will actually had no way to continue withstanding the battle might and was forced out. This was simply too terrifying. Unless he stepped into the immortal realm, he wouldn't be able to continue comprehending this statue. 3-level battle art. Qin Wentian mumbled. He cast a deep glance at the statue before him before bowing slightly and walking down from it. He already had no way to continue comprehending the will of the statue. Next, he could only rely on himself to comprehend the battle art. At the instant Qin Wentian stepped down, the gazes of many turned to that statue. Faintly, another storm was about to erupt. Senior brother, you have also finished your cultivation? Only to see that at this moment, Jun Mengchen had also stopped his cultivation. From the start till now, he was still trying to comprehend the Qingdao statue. How do you feel? Qin Wentian smiled as he asked. Extremely good. His comprehension is very deep and his strength has increased by quite a bit. This time around, his chances of passing this trial are even greater. A fanatical light flashed in Jun Mengchen's eyes. However, there were also many who were staring at the two of them as they mused in their hearts. The situation in the eastern sage cliff was extremely unique. Qin Wentian was extremely powerful here, but once he exited the cliff, everything would be different. At that time it was still unknown what would happen. For example, if Qin Wentian released Black Peak, Qin Wentian would definitely not spare him. Chapter 835. Qin Wentian stared at the crowd. Other than the 360 seats being occupied, there weren't too many people remaining in this region. Zi Qingxian had already left as well. Most probably, after she finished comprehending, she left to search for other good fortune. Let's go to another place to take a look. Qin Wentian spoke to Jun Mengchen. The two of them then soared through the air and separated a few moments later. By doing so, the chances of them searching for good fortune would be greater. Qin Wentian transformed into a wind rock as he sped through the air. But at this moment, a voice drifted over from the void. In the eastern sage cliff, there are still over 1,000 participants remaining. This voice rang out through the entire eastern sage cliff. As the sound of the voice faded, countless people inclined their heads as their eyes gleamed with a dazzling light. As long as another 50 participants were eliminated, they would be able to enter the next round and at the same time, become a disciple of the Dongshengshan Gate. Qin Wentian also halted his steps. He inclined his head and stared at the sky. There were still 50 participants remaining. Seems like there wasn't much time left. Most probably this round would end very soon. Stepping out, Qin Wentian's silhouette moved like the wind, landing on an ancient mountain peak. He closed his eyes and stood there, quietly comprehending the insights he gained during these few days. During the half a year he spent in the eastern sage cliff, his improvement wasn't small at all. This was the benefit of being a disciple of a major power. Good fortune was always within the sect and could be obtained at any time. An instant later, Qin Wentian, who was on the mountain peak, entered a miraculous meditative state. His body abruptly emitted a crisp sound, as though he had activated his battle light. In an instant his entire body was shrouded by the battle light as his aura towered up into the heavens. After which Qin Wentian waved his palms, executing fist arts, sword arts, spear arts and bell arts, all of them containing a marvelous might. The sound of the wind whistling could be heard as he unleashed an even stronger battle halo. An instant later, an even stronger battle halo appeared around him as his entire body underwent a transformation, exuding an even stronger might. How refreshing! Qin Wentian silently mused. He opened his eyes and retracted his aura, but the battle halo still revolved around him, incomparably resplendent. Right now, Qin Wentian was already proficient in using it. At this moment, the silhouette of an expert soared through the air. His silhouette was as fast as lightning, causing the air around him to howl in rage. His eyes were like an eagle hunting for its prey. Abruptly, he saw Qin Wentian below as a cold light flashed in his eyes. Rank number 27 of the Cloud Prefecture. Although it wasn't bad, it was time for him to scram. If he killed this person, he would be one step closer to joining the Eastern Sage Immortal sect. As he thought of this, his silhouette flickered, akin to a falcon as he soared through the air. He was like a bolt of gray lightning, causing rumbling sounds to ring out as a terrifying aura gushed towards Qin Wentian. His killing intent gushed forth, wanting to tear Qin Wentian apart in an instant. His eyes were filled with loftiness and sharpness. Qin Wentian inclined his head. With just a single glance, his eyes were filled with battle intent, capable of penetrating through space. Just a single glance was sufficient to give off an incomparably terrifying feeling. The battle halo around him was incomparably resplendent as his aura towered up into the sky. That expert's countenance changed as he sensed that something was wrong. This person seemed to be extremely strong. However, his speed was incomparably fast. In just an instant he had already descended, unleashing a terrifying attack. It was impossible for him to retreat at this moment. Qin Wentian lifted his palms as sword qi erupted forth. With a wave of his hand, a battle halo enveloped the area. With a piercing sound, that expert's body was directly lacerated by the sword qi. His soul disintegrated. The battle light shone resplendently, revolving around Qin Wentian. His countenance was calm. Ever since he entered the Eastern Sage Cliff, he had never taken the initiative to provoke others. But if someone dared to offend him, he wouldn't spare them easily. After killing the intruder, Qin Wentian continued his cultivation. Time flowed by and finally, the light screen above the Eastern Sage Cliff flickered as another voice rang out. The battle in the Eastern Sage Cliff has come to an end. The remaining 1,000, find a spatial formation and exit immediately. It's over. Within the Eastern Sage Cliff, there were still 1,000 participants. They inclined their heads and stared at the air, feeling a sense of reluctance in their hearts. It was as though they still wanted to stay here to comprehend and cultivate. However, since the Dongshengshan Gate has already issued the order, they could only choose to exit. Qin Wentian was naturally the same as well. His silhouette flickered like lightning and an instant later, he saw a small-scale spatial formation flickering with golden light. After which he stepped out and directly landed on top of it, using astral energy to form a connection. The fluctuations of space caused spatial fluctuations and an instant later, Qin Wentian felt his body being teleported away. In the next instant, he stood in the vast space outside the Eastern Sage Cliff. Around him, there were many other participants who appeared. One figure after another appeared in the surroundings. Not long after, a total of 1,000 people appeared in this place. As for those who had been eliminated, they seemed to have already left. Perhaps they had no reason to continue staying here. We're out. Mu Yan walked over to Qin Wentian. Evidently he had also passed. After him, Jun Mengchen and Zi Qingxian also walked over. The four of them gathered together, while the others were in groups of 3 to 5. They came from the same prefecture and were already acquainted with each other. You're finally out. An ice-cold voice drifted over, filled with a tinge of piercing to the ears. Qin Wentian turned his gaze over, only to see Black Peak walking towards him. Black Peak's sinister eyes stared at him as an extremely dense killing intent flickered in his eyes. After being humiliated by Qin Wentian in the Eastern Sage Cliff, one could very well imagine how strong Black Peak's killing intent was towards Qin Wentian. Most probably he wanted nothing more than to tear Qin Wentian into 1,000 pieces. A loser actually dares to come here to be so arrogant? Jun Mengchen stared at Black Peak as he mocked. That was because his luck was better back in the Eastern Sage Cliff. Next, I truly want to see how long you can survive. Black Peak's voice was sinister. His eyes were filled with killing intent as he stared at the people before him, not intending to spare a single one of them. Have you forgotten how you picked up your life? Qin Wentian's eyes were incomparably sharp as he stared at Black Peak. That will be the thing you will regret the most in your life. Black Peak coldly spoke. After that he turned and departed. Qin Wentian coldly glanced at him before no longer looking at him. Since he spared Black Peak, he knew that Black Peak wouldn't let this matter rest. However, that was his decision. Congratulations to everyone. At this moment a voice rang out, drowning out all the noise. Everyone inclined their heads only to see the expert from the Dongshengshan Gate speaking. From now onwards, all of you can join the Dongshengshan Gate and become an outer disciple. After the grand banquet ends, as long as you are willing, you can join us. Many felt agitated. The Dongshengshan Gate was the ruler of the Eastern Sage 13 prefectures. Their strength was so powerful that it was terrifying. Right now they finally had a foot in the Dongshengshan Gate, and obtained the recognition of the Dongshengshan Gate. Naturally, there were also some who were as calm as before. Given their absolute confidence in their own strength, they weren't excited at all to be able to join the Dongshengshan Gate. They all had a higher goal in mind. However, the test at the Eastern Sage Cliff is merely the beginning. 1,000 of you can become an outer disciple. In that case, if you can pass the second test, you can directly become a core disciple of the Dongshengshan Gate. After the second test, a total of 160 people will be selected. These 160 people will be able to meet the supreme characters of our Eastern Sage 13 prefectures and participate in the banquet organized by the Dongshengshan Gate together with them. In fact, they might even have a chance to improve further. That expert from the Dongshengshan Gate laughed, his words causing the eyes of many to flicker with sharpness. Next, what they had to compete for was to become a core disciple of the Dongshengshan Gate, receiving special nurturing, participating in the banquet and meeting supreme characters of the various prefectures. After that, they would have the chance to enter the tutelage of the Eastern Sage Immortal Emperor and become his personal disciple. Even if they were just an in-name disciple, they would already have an extremely high status within the Dongshengshan Gate. For example, a sage child like Yi Zixuan would have immense authority and could mobilize a troop of troops within the Dongshengshan Gate to wage war. Regardless of what benefits there were, sage children would always have priority. The sage children of the Dongshengshan Gate would be nurtured as the leader of the Dongshengshan Gate. Right now, there were many experts in charge of the Dongshengshan Gate, and many of them were sage child characters, disciples of the Dongsheng Heaven Emperor. Once one became a disciple of the Dongsheng Heaven Emperor, they would instantly have an Empyrean status. As long as we advance to the next round, we would be able to become a core disciple and have the chance to gather together with the supreme experts of the Eastern Sage 13 prefectures. Many felt excitement in their hearts. Next, it was time to see the results of the second round. However, the second round of the examination of the Dongshengshan Gate will be extremely brutal, a tempering exercise of blood and iron. This isn't merely a test for you guys. It's also a test for the disciples of the Dongshengshan Gate. For this round of examination, all of you will be in the same space as the other disciples of the Dongshengshan Gate, undergoing a true tempering exercise of blood and iron. They will hunt you down, and the more you kill, the more rewards they will receive. Although there are also small-scale teleportation arrays inside, they will spare no expense to kill you all. The words of the expert from the Dongshengshan Gate caused the hearts of the crowd to tremble. Contending against the geniuses of the Dongshengshan Gate? Not only that, the other party would hunt them down. Naturally, there's one thing you guys can be at ease about. In this space, your cultivation bases can be seen with a single glance. Only those at the same level of cultivation can fight against each other. Whoever dares to violate this rule would be considered to have violated the rules. Hence, there's no need to worry about the higher-level disciples of the Dongshengshan Gate hunting down those with lower cultivation bases. At the same time, it's the same for you guys as well, only those at the same level of cultivation are allowed to fight against each other. That expert added. However, the hearts of the crowd still couldn't be at ease. So what if they were at the same level of cultivation? They had to undergo numerous tests before they could enter the Dongshengshan Gate, and the one hunting them down was already a disciple of the Dongshengshan Gate. Not only that, the expert only stated that those at the same level of cultivation could fight against each other. This meant that for this round of combat, there was no restriction on the number of participants. It was easy to imagine that once this battle erupted, it would definitely be extremely tragic. This was most probably the iron and blood test that the Dongshengshan Gate used to test their disciples. Only by doing this could they select the true elites. Follow me. If you guys don't dare to accept the tempering exercise, you can directly exit from the small-scale teleportation array. You will still be an outer disciple of the Dongshengshan Gate after that. That expert soared into the air and flew towards another direction. Chapter 836. The Sage Devil Gorge was exceedingly vast and was enveloped by a heaven-piercing grand formation, located within the Dongshengshan Gate. This place was a tempering ground for the disciples of the Dongshengshan Gate. Every set period of time, they would come here to temper their elites, choosing the most outstanding disciples. For those disciples of the Dongshengshan Gate who entered the Sage Devil Gorge, they would be able to engage in a life-and-death battle against those on the same level as them. It was extremely cruel, and it was unknown how many experts of the Dongshengshan Gate had fallen in this tempering ground. However, these experts could be considered as those on the same level as them who managed to escape. At this moment, the experts of the Dongshengshan Gate led the experts to the airspace above the Sage Devil Gorge. Qin Wentian stood in the air and stared downwards. Over there was a screen of light, and within this screen, there seemed to be a boundlessly vast gorge that seemed to be a world of its own. But standing in the air, one could see everything clearly with a single glance, as though the entire world was right before their eyes. When there are only 160 participants remaining, I will tell you all to stop fighting. Right now there are already many disciples of the Eastern Sage Immortal sect waiting for you in the Sage Devil Gorge. Don't have any wishful thinking. The moment you all enter, those at the same level as you will be able to sense your presence easily, and they will directly kill you. In here, no one is allowed to borrow the power of divine weapons or external sources of power. Qin Wentian spoke. The immortal king of the Dongshangshan Gate spoke. Everyone had solemn expressions on their faces. They knew that this battle would be extremely difficult. If they were the slightest bit careless, they might even die here. Okay, go on then. The immortal king of the Dongshangshan Gate waved his hand as everyone stepped out, entering the Sage Devil Gorge. If they entered, there was a high possibility that they might die. But once they passed this test, they would be able to become a core disciple of the Dongshangshan Gate and gain the qualifications to sit together with the supreme characters of the 13 prefectures. Such an opportunity was extremely hard to come by. To immortal kings, no matter how high your talent is, you are still in existence at the bottom of the hierarchy. Immortal kings could kill you with a wave of their hands. Back then, all of them were characters that exuded magnificence and magnificence. Their temperaments, good fortune, and countless years of bitter cultivation had forged their unparalleled statuses. They had to enter the Dongshangshan Gate and work hard in their cultivation, becoming immortal king existences that could look down on the masses with disdain. Even in the perspective of the 13 prefectures, they would be able to establish an incomparably tyrannical power, becoming a king character in their own prefecture. Numerous figures stepped into the Sage Devil Gorge, directly disappearing from their original spots. Qin Wentian's figure directly landed in a certain direction of the Sage Devil Gorge. There was a river beside him and a mountain in the distance. This Sage Devil Gorge was an independent space of its own. All my strength has been restored. However, since they are disciples of the Dongshangshan Gate, even if they are at the same level, their combat prowess would definitely be tyrannical. I have to be more careful. Qin Wentian silently mused. Extending his perception outwards, there was no one else in the surroundings. At another entrance of the Sage Devil Gorge, many geniuses clad in similar robes were gathered there. There were actually over 1,000 of them, many times more compared to those who entered the Sage Devil Gorge. The majority of these people were external disciples of the Dongshangshan Gate, but there was also a portion of them that were core disciples, and there were even elites among them. This difference could be seen from the robes they were wearing. The robes of the external disciples were all golden in color, while the robes of the core disciples were darker in color, exuding a heroic aura. As for the elites, other than golden, their robes were also shimmering with a crimson light, making them stand out from the crowd. And their statuses were also clearly differentiated, regardless of their cultivation bases. The elite disciples stood at the front, the core disciples stood in the middle, and the outer disciples stood at the back. This time around we won't kill you and will show mercy. But there's no need to say more about how important this is to all of you. You have to do your best. Don't throw away the face of the Dongshangshan Gate by not being able to deal with these newcomers. An elite disciple's eyes gleamed with an unyielding light as he stared into the distance. It was as though he could see many specks of light floating in the air. Each of these specks of light was an expert at the same cultivation level as him. Not only him, the others could also see people at the same cultivation level as them. They were all in the form of specks of light, floating in the air in various locations of the Sage Devil Gorge. These fellows still don't know that the moment they release their auras in the Sage Devil Gorge, they would be instantly exposed. Next, it's up to you all. That elite spoke again. With a wave of his hand, several thousand experts rushed out. Evidently, this wasn't a fair battle. Those who entered the Sage Devil Gorge couldn't see the existence of their opponents, but the other party could instantly lock onto their positions just because they released their auras. At this moment, everyone was moving about in the Sage Devil Gorge. They had no idea that the experts of the Dongshangshan Gate had already locked onto their positions and were rapidly closing in on them. Qin Wentian walked along the riverbank and came to the foot of an ancient tree. He sat down cross-legged, as though he was in a state of cultivation. However, a faint aura gushed forth from his body, as he remained vigilant of his surroundings, preparing for battle. Rustling sounds drifted over, like the footsteps of humans. Qin Wentian's aura fluctuated as he opened his eyes. A moment later, he saw a silhouette appearing not too far away from him. This person was clad in a faint golden robe, with magnificent diagrams inscribed on it. His eyes flickered with a brilliant light, extremely dazzling. This person was none other than an outer disciple of the Dongshengshan Gate. Qin Wentian of the Cloud Prefecture, number 27. That person glanced at Qin Wentian as his voice was calm. It said that this time around the Dongshengshan Gate is recruiting a total of 160 core disciples. Based on the rankings, each of the 13 prefectures would only have 12 to 13 candidates. The Cloud Prefecture is weaker, and the number of slots would be even lesser. You should also have the potential to become an outer disciple, but this is merely a potential. You have yet to officially enter the Dongshengshan Gate. Qin Wentian glanced at that person. Based on the rankings, this was indeed the case. A total of 160 core disciples, out of the 13 prefectures, it would already be considered not bad if the Cloud Prefecture could get 10 of them. And so, Qin Wentian asked, "So, I'm afraid you won't be able to walk out of here." As that person spoke, he continued stepping forward. His eyes filled with a cold killing intent. Qin Wentian's eyes were filled with killing intent. "Seems like you are merely an outer disciple. Since this is the case, scram." Qin Wentian faintly spoke before closing his eyes once more. Disdainful of an outer disciple. That person halted his steps as a look of astonishment appeared on his face. After which, a devilish cold smile appeared on his face. How interesting, this was the first time he participated in the hunting exercise and he already met such an interesting person. He was even more arrogant compared to the core disciples of the Dongshengshan Gate. His tone was so arrogant that it was ridiculous. What was even funnier was that this person didn't seem to notice it at all. He even closed his eyes as though everything was so natural. He should be this arrogant. Easy. Only to see that in the depths of his palms, his hands were instantly enveloped in golden flames. A mysterious flame circulated around his palms, causing sizzling sounds to echo in the air. In an instant, it was as though his entire body was bathed in the glow of the golden flames. His palms seemed to be able to slice apart the hardest object in the world. Boom! Stomping his foot on the ground, the earth beneath his feet was instantly incinerated into nothingness. A faint golden glow lingered around him as he rushed out. In an instant, his silhouette appeared in front of Qin Wentian as he slashed out with his palms. His palms seemed to have transformed into a sword of golden flames, slashing downwards. Qin Wentian was still sitting cross-legged. He lifted his palms, terrifying runic light flowed in his palms, exuding an indestructible will. Raising his palms, a gigantic palm imprint smashed out, directly colliding with the descending palm imprint. A muffled rumble rang out, but the gigantic palm imprint didn't move an inch. His opponent was actually unable to break it. However, the expression of that disciple of the Dongshengshan Gate didn't change. Abruptly, a dazzling light flashed from his body as boundless energy flowed on his palms. A terrifying palm imprint of flames appeared, directly melting Qin Wentian's gigantic palm imprint. At the same time, the sharpness of the palm imprint directly sliced downwards. Cracking sounds rang out as the gigantic palm imprint blasted out by Qin Wentian was sliced apart. That person had a mocking smile on his face as he stared at Qin Wentian, who was sitting cross-legged. Both of his palms simultaneously stabbed out with a fearsome might, the light from his palms capable of destroying everything, wanting to directly break apart Qin Wentian's body. Qin Wentian's palms shone with an even more dazzling light. When he blasted out, there was a terrifying suppressive force contained within. At the same time, the surrounding space seemed to be filled with a mysterious, indestructible power. With a thunderous boom, the attacks of the two of them collided once again. That disciple of the Dongshengshan Gate was actually forced backwards. His palms that contained tyrannical might actually had no way to penetrate through Qin Wentian's attack. Boom! His constellation manifested, transforming into golden palms of blazing flames that revolved around his body. His opponent roared in rage as he blasted out with the force of a tempestuous storm, aiming for Qin Wentian. "You are courting death." A blood-colored light abruptly flashed in Qin Wentian's eyes as a halo of battle chi revolved around him, instantly erupting forth. The light radiating from him illuminated the skies as an incomparably powerful battle chi manifested, akin to a supreme battle king. His entire body shone with a towering blood-colored light as he lifted his palms for the third time. This time around it was a heaven-conquering blood-colored palm imprint that blasted out, containing a towering might that could even kill gods. Boom boom boom. The fearsome heaven-conquering blood-colored palm imprint destroyed all defenses, shattering his opponent's attack. There was no way to block it and it directly slammed into his opponent's body. With a deafening boom, his opponent was directly flung through the air. In just an instant, the starlight in the sky dissipated. That disciple of the Dongshengshan Gate was already lying on the riverbank, dead on the spot. Qin Wentian continued to close his eyes, as though nothing had happened. If there was anyone else who came to disturb him, they would naturally understand after seeing his corpse. Chapter 837. Qin Wentian wasn't willing to waste time on killing. His purpose for coming to the Dongshengshan Gate was very clear. He wanted to participate in the Heavenly Talisman Realm's tempering exercise. And during the tempering exercise, raising his strength as much as possible was naturally Qin Wentian's priority. In the Eastern Sage Cliff, he comprehended many things and obtained many cultivation arts. This was especially so after he comprehended the immortal statue and obtained an immortal king inheritance battle art. His comprehension was extremely deep and he managed to cultivate it all the way to the 3rd level. In this Sage Devil Gorge, since there were no opportunities for cultivation, he would rather focus on comprehending them. If there were any disciples of the Dongshengshan Gate who wanted to use his life as a stepping stone, they better be prepared to pay the price. Qin Wentian left the corpse of a disciple of the Dongshengshan Gate behind. This was to deter others from disturbing him. However, Qin Wentian was wrong. After a period of time, 2 outer sect disciples of the Dongshengshan Gate arrived. When they saw the corpse, their gazes were extremely cold when they stared at Qin Wentian. This wasn't because they had a deep relationship with each other. There were countless disciples in the Dongshengshan Gate and each of them was competing against each other, trying to obtain more cultivation resources or be valued by the elders of the sect. The internal competition was extremely intense. But when they saw the corpse of a fellow disciple lying there, being used by Qin Wentian to deter them, their killing intent instantly gushed forth. "How dare you?" An expert spoke in cold arrogance. His gaze was as cold as ice, piercing towards Qin Wentian. The person beside him also had a sinister expression as his killing intent surged forth. Qin Wentian halted his cultivation and opened his eyes again, staring at the person who just arrived. "You haven't even entered the Dongshengshan Gate. Yet, you actually dare to use the corpse of a disciple of the Dongshengshan Gate to threaten us? Are you not afraid of dying without a burial?" That person continued. Qin Wentian stared at him and asked, "He wanted to kill me. Should I give him a proper burial after I kill him?" Arrogant. This is a humiliation to the disciples of the Dongshengshan Gate. No matter what, you will die for sure. Even if the 2 of us can't kill you, we will make sure you die here. Another person spoke. Since Qin Wentian could kill an outer sect disciple, his strength must be extraordinary. Hence, they didn't dare to say that they could definitely kill Qin Wentian. One of them took out a treasure that shot out a beam of golden light that soared up into the sky. Instantly, many disciples of the Eastern Sage Immortal sect turned their gazes over as their countenances stiffened. Some of the core disciples in golden robes had sharp gazes as they stared at the golden beam of light in the air. Qin Wentian Gate was. Many people looked down at the golden light. Some of them could see the floating light spot and immediately understood that this person's cultivation was the same as theirs. Immediately, the people around them flickered and rushed in that direction. At the same time, some people who participated in the trial like Qin Wentian had strange expressions on their faces. The people around them also rushed in that direction. Qin Wentian was still indifferent. He looked at the light and coldly stared at that person. He didn't do anything, he wasn't in a hurry to deal with that person. Regardless of whether it was the outer sect disciples or the core disciples of the Dongshengshan Gate, he didn't feel any fear. To him, since he wanted to be one of the top 3, it meant that he had the talent of the sun. The sun was a disciple of the Dongshang Heaven Emperor. They had the highest status among the disciples of the Dongshengshan Gate. Qin Wentian wanted to stand shoulder to shoulder with the sun, so why would he care about the so-called outer sect disciples and core disciples? In the same realm, no matter who came, he wasn't afraid, unless the other party attacked in groups. The two experts who arrived first didn't do anything. They just stared at Qin Wentian from both sides, as if they were just monitoring him and not letting him leave. However, they didn't know that if Qin Wentian wanted to leave, they wouldn't be able to stop him. After a while, another two outer sect disciples came. They saw the corpses by the river and immediately understood what was going on. They stared at Qin Wentian with a cold expression and said, "You haven't even entered the Dongshengshan gate and you're already so arrogant. What a bold madman." Qin Wentian looked at the people who came one by one strangely and frowned. This was the cruel iron and blood test. These disciples of the Dongshengshan gate were here to kill him, including the person who came to take his life. But now these people were calling him a madman. Could it be that in the eyes of these disciples who had already entered the Dongshengshan gate, only they were here to hunt and kill? Could it be that after these people killed him, Qin Wentian, they would give him a proper burial? Ignorant fool. Another voice drifted over. Qin Wentian glanced ahead only to see a disciple of the Dongshengshan gate clad in golden robes walking over. The robes of the five of them were very similar, and had the same pattern engraved on them. It was just that the color was different. This immediately made Qin Wentian understand that these people who came to the St. Devil Canyon to kill them all had different statuses. Some were outer sect disciples while some were core disciples. There were a lot of people in light golden robes, so they should be outer sect disciples. The person who came was even more arrogant and his aura was even stronger. He walked in the middle and should be a core disciple. His status was obvious with a single glance. Although you are here to participate in the recruitment test, you have yet to join the sect. You should have a heart filled with reverence for the disciples of the Dongshengshan gate. Yet you actually dared to use the identity of a disciple of the Dongshengshan gate to threaten us? Foolish to the extreme. That expert who walked over coldly spoke, his tone filled with arrogance. He was a core disciple and had an extremely high status. There were many outer sect disciples of the Dongshengshan gate, but it was extremely difficult for one to become a core disciple. This time around, how many geniuses from the 13 prefectures were participating? The competition started from the 13 prefectures, all for the sake of entering the Dongshengshan gate. Becoming an outer sect disciple was already something to be proud of. Only the last 100+ would be able to become a core disciple. And as for him, he was already a core disciple, someone who was truly recognized by the sect. Not only that, he had already cultivated in the Dongshengshan gate for a few years. His talent was outstanding and he naturally had the qualifications to be arrogant. For this hunt, the mission of core disciples wasn't to kill randomly. They could choose their targets, and for those with true talent, even if they could defeat them, they had to consider sparing them. This was their mission. Only the mission of the outer sect disciples was to kill. If they could be killed by an outer sect disciple, there was nothing to feel regretful about even if they died. As for the elite disciples, their purpose was only to monitor the entire Sage Devil Gorge. Qin Wentian stared at the person who just arrived. That person walked over step by step as he spoke. Even if you truly have talent, you can forget about leaving this place alive. Your corpse will be hung on the branches of a tree. This is the punishment for daring to use the corpse of a disciple of the Dongshengshan gate to threaten us. How laughable. Qin Wentian kept listening to the arrogance of the other party, as though it was only natural that he, Qin Wentian, would be hunted down. And since he killed a disciple of the Dongshengshan gate, using this person to threaten them was an unpardonable crime. A crime worthy of death. There were so many experts who came here just to kill him. When you die, you most probably won't find it funny anymore. The other party continued. Qin Wentian slowly stood up as his aura gushed forth. He stared at the four of them, his eyes gleaming with incomparable arrogance as he stood there proudly. It was as though he was the main character of this world. In the Sage Devil Gorge, the Dongshengshan gate hunted us participants. This is a cold-blooded and cruel trial. In here, strength is everything. If you are weak, only death awaits you. If I am weak, the corpse lying on the ground right now would be me. Now you guys are using this to suppress me. You guys think that because you are a disciple of the Dongshengshan gate, your status is higher than me, and your strength is stronger than me. That's why you guys are speaking so confidently and with assurance, thinking that you're above everyone else. Qin Wentian swept his gaze over everyone as he floated up into the air. His eyes gleamed with a blood-red light, exuding an incomparably cold arrogance. You guys want my life, yet you're still talking to me about reverence? How ridiculous. I really want to see how the 5 of you can take my life away. Qin Wentian floated in the air, staring down at the 5 experts of the Dongshengshan Gate. With a thunderous boom, a battle halo flashed as the first level of his battle art was unleashed. He was like a battle king as his entire body underwent a transformation, exuding an extremely terrifying aura. That core disciple inclined his head and stared at the insufferably arrogant Qin Wentian as he spoke with cold arrogance. No wonder you have the strength to kill an outer disciple. But if you think that you don't have any reverence in your heart just because of this, you would truly overestimate yourself. Kill him. As the sound of his voice faded, the 4 outer disciples simultaneously soared up into the air as their terrifying auras engulfed the entire space. Different constellations were released at the same time, exuding terrifying might. Kill. One of them jabbed out with his finger. Momentarily, a surge of blood-colored energy congregated in the air, transforming into a towering tempest that directly slashed towards Qin Wentian. Another one blasted out a towering palm imprint, blotting out the sun. Another one slashed out with a saber, cleaving apart the void. As for the last one, he unleashed his controlling constellation. Countless demonic vines manifested around Qin Wentian, grabbing towards him in all directions. The 4 outer disciples of the Dongshengshan Gate joined forces to attack together. How terrifying was the might they unleashed! It definitely wasn't a simple 4 times increase in strength. For experts of their level, once they unleashed their constellations, they would be able to coordinate their attacks perfectly, making it so that their opponents had no hope of escaping. Even if their opponents were many times stronger than any of them, they would still be able to slay them with a single strike. Qin Wentian was directly buried within the might of their attacks. If his strength was only a notch higher compared to the 4 of them, he would already be a dead man right now. There was no way for him to survive. The eyes of the core disciple of the Dongshengshan Gate flickered with a mocking smile. This person underestimated the disciples of the Dongshengshan Gate too much. Just a single strike was enough to reap his life. Boom! At this moment, a heaven-shaking bell chime rang out, after which thunderous sounds echoed out unceasingly, shaking the heavens and earth. That core disciple turned his gaze over only to see a resplendent violet-gold light radiating forth. Rumbling sounds of explosions rang out unceasingly as the attacks of the 4 core disciples were all destroyed. Their bodies retreated with explosive speed, and some of them were even injured from the impact. In just an instant, the situation was reversed. Qin Wentian stood in the air, exuding a towering battle might. Blood-colored demonic light and violet gold celestial constellations shone resplendently. He was like a supreme king, sweeping his gaze forward, exuding an aura of nobility that caused the hearts of others to shudder. Just a mere disciple of the Dongshengshan Gate. Let alone wanting to kill me, even if you didn't, how can you make me feel reverence for you? Qin Wentian stared at the core disciple below, after which he stepped out as a gigantic palm imprint directly expanded in size, blasting out with the power to pluck the stars and seize the moon. One of the core disciples retreated with explosive speed, yet the gigantic palm imprint seemed to be able to pluck the sun, moon and constellations from the heavens. With a thunderous boom, that core disciple's body exploded, dying on the spot. Since all of you want my life, leave your lives behind then, Qin Wentian domineeringly spoke. He stepped out in the air once more, causing the hearts of the core disciples to tremble. Chapter 838. The Dongshengshan Gate was a place filled with geniuses. Even for external disciples, only geniuses would be able to enter. However, there were naturally stronger geniuses among the geniuses. This time around, there were over 10,000 geniuses from the 13 prefectures. Which one of them wasn't a genius? However, the disparity between them was simply too great. 1,000 of them could enter the outer sect, over 100 could become core disciples, and 3 of them could become sage child characters. Although they were all geniuses, the disparity between them was still too great. For those geniuses from the 13 prefectures, If they were placed in the Dongshengshan Gate, they wouldn't even be considered geniuses. There were many geniuses who once stood at the peak of an entire region, exuding a towering aura during combat. But in front of those who were much stronger than them, they would instantly seem insignificant and would be easily killed. Just like now. When he saw the resplendent corona of light radiating from Qin Wentian, it was as though he was the descendant of a god king, a young battle king. Even the core disciple felt an intense pressure gushing towards him. Purple gold astral souls were already extremely rare. Even he didn't have one. Usually, only sage child characters would have a violet gold astral soul. Also, this person's arrogance towered up to the heavens, arrogantly saying that disciples of the Dongshengshan Gate would never be able to cause him to feel any fear or respect. Leaving aside the disciples of the Dongshengshan Gate, he didn't even have any fear or respect for the deep flame immortal king. A terrifying saber light slashed down. Qin Wentian transformed into a wind rock as he blasted out a blood-colored palm imprint, containing a suppressive might within, directly shattering the saber light. After which, his star-seizing palm imprint blasted out once more, blasting towards the second core disciple. That core disciple's bloodline power erupted forth as he unleashed his constellation, yet he still had no way to defend against Qin Wentian's attack. The Qin Wentian at this moment, other than using immortal arts true intense, as well as his constellation, he also used his bloodline power, augmenting it with his combat immortal art. How terrifying was this? At the same level, even the outer sect disciples of the Dongshengshan Gate wouldn't be able to contend against him. A terrifying rumbling sound could be heard as the second expert was smashed by the star-plucking great palm. The other two were shocked, and their hearts trembled. They immediately turned around and fled. As disciples of the Dongshengshan Gate, they were originally here to hunt down the participants of the trial. But they were attacked by 4 people, and yet they were forced to flee. It could be said that it was a great humiliation to them. However, this person's strength was simply too shocking, and there was no way he could contend against him. He couldn't even withstand a single strike, and if he continued to fight like this, he could only flee. Do you think you can escape? Qin Wentian roared. Both of his palms simultaneously stretched out in different directions. His arms expanded explosively, transforming into incomparably gigantic arms. The blood-colored palm imprints he blasted out were even more terrifying, directly smashing towards the 2 disciples of the Dongshengshan Gate. The 2 fleeing disciples felt the space around them being enveloped by a law energy as a look of despair flashed in their eyes. How could this be? Just a mere participant, how could his combat prowess be so tyrannical? Also, he was only ranked number 27 in the Cloud Prefecture. Although such a ranking could be considered not bad in the Cloud Prefecture, if it was placed in the perspective of the entire Eastern Sage 13 prefectures, he would directly be ranked outside the top 300. He basically didn't even have the qualifications to become a core disciple, yet he still dared to attack them in such a domineering manner. As 2 thunderous booms rang out, the 2 disciples were once again slain. The speed of the palm imprints was simply too fast, as though they could penetrate through space, arriving in an instant. In the blink of an eye, the 4 geniuses of the Dongshengshan Gate who encircled Qin Wentian were all dead. Only a core disciple clad in golden robes remained standing there, staring at Qin Wentian as great waves of shock rocked his heart. Such a level of killing, he knew that he wouldn't be able to do it. Qin Wentian's gaze also landed on him. His demonic eyes shone with a towering battle might, as though he could see through the eyes of others with just a single glance. Now do you still think that you are worthy enough for me to revere you in my heart? Qin Wentian spoke in arrogance. He stepped down as a halo of battle light enveloped him, unexcelled in the world. Boom! At this instant, the aura exuded by that core disciple erupted forth, rising to the peak in an instant. His body was enveloped by an incomparably gigantic demonic beast, a golden demonic lion with a pair of gigantic wings on its back. It was as though he was the king of all demons, unexcelled in the world. He was clad in a resplendent golden demonic lion battle armor as his eyes turned golden. He directly soared up into the air as an indomitable aura erupted forth. Although Qin Wentian's strength wasn't inferior to his, he was still a core disciple of the Dongshengshan Gate. Why would he fear a battle? For this battle he would go all out, killing with all his might. His constellation flashed as a pair of gigantic wings that blotted out the sun transformed into a sharp golden sword that directly slashed towards Qin Wentian. There was nothing it couldn't overcome, nothing it couldn't slash through. Qin Wentian's battle intent churned the heavens and earth. What was there to fear? His entire body glowed with a translucent light, as though he was clad in battle armor. His fiend god body refinement art had also strengthened his physique. The him right now was supported by all sorts of techniques. Just his aura alone was enough to crush geniuses at the same level as him. His violet gold astral soul was incomparably dazzling. Both his palms broke through the air, directly blasting out. However, the wings only slashed out in a frenzy, causing a blinding light to illuminate the skies as the sounds of collisions rang out unceasingly. A dazzling golden light erupted forth in all directions, causing the trees in the surroundings to be incinerated into dust. The earth cracked and the rivers flowed in reverse, as though the heavens and earth were about to collapse. I truly want to see how strong you are. This core disciple of the Dongshangshan Gate also erupted forth with the power of his bloodline. His entire body glowed with a resplendent light, and the techniques he used were all immortal ranked innate techniques that shook the heavens and earth. His aura soared unceasingly, as though he was getting more and more valiant as he fought. Qin Wentian used so many techniques, yet his opponent was still able to withstand it. From this, one could see how powerful this core disciple of the Dongshangshan Gate was. Not only that, he also had many techniques up his sleeves. Regardless of offense or defense, all of them were extremely tyrannical. At this moment, his opponent's wings slashed out, creating an opening in the sky. After which an enraged beast surged forth, causing the heavens and earth to shatter. Qin Wentian frenziedly defended, blocking the attacks one after another. However, his opponent had a dazzling sharp sword that penetrated through the layers of attacks, directly piercing towards Qin Wentian's heart. It was as though he only needed an extremely short instant to reap away Qin Wentian's life. This attack was about to penetrate into Qin Wentian's heart. Die! That person roared in rage. But at this moment the sound of bells ringing rang out. In front of Qin Wentian, numerous ancient bells suddenly appeared, forcibly blocking his attack. The ancient bells revolved around him, emitting a dazzling light. Qin Wentian waved his palms and blasted out in anger. The sound of the bells ringing unceasingly rang out as the ancient bells slammed into his opponent, causing him to spit out blood. After which, that inner disciple of the Dongshangshan Gate saw a gigantic ancient bell smashing down towards him. Boom! A thunderous sound rang out, as though his soul was about to be shattered. Boundless light from the calamity slammed into his body, tearing it apart. In just an instant, the body of the inner disciple of the Dongshangshan Gate directly shattered, vanishing into thin air. Qin Wentian had never been a merciful person. He could be kind to his family, friends, and even strangers. But when it came to those who wanted to take his life, he would never show any mercy. As for the fear and respect in his heart, that was simply laughable. After killing the four of them, his gaze abruptly turned over, staring at a certain direction. There were quite a few people currently spectating. However, Qin Wentian's gaze directly locked onto a certain direction. Over there, a figure walked out. His sharp eyes filled with killing intent landed on Qin Wentian as he stated, "Fascinating, truly fascinating." The person who walked out was none other than Black Peak. Right now his aura was extremely powerful, towering up into the sky. Back then when Qin Wentian and Black Peak met at the Eastern Sage Cliff, Black Peak was already at the 8th level of Celestial Phenomenon. After he took on the Deep Flame Immortal King as his master, after several years of cultivation, although Black Peak didn't break through to the 9th level, his aura was already at the peak of the 8th level. Before this, because everyone's cultivation base in the Eastern Sage Cliff was the same, the disparity between their cultivation bases was obvious. Black Peak's aura could directly suppress Qin Wentian. However, Qin Wentian's countenance was incomparably calm. He naturally knew of Black Peak's cultivation base, but he still spared him at the Eastern Sage Cliff. From this, one could see that in Qin Wentian's heart, he didn't care at all. He spared Black Peak, the disciple of the Deep Flame Immortal King, and didn't kill him. Qin Wentian emotionlessly glanced at Black Peak. After which, he flicked his sleeves and stepped out, directly departing the area. This battle had already alarmed many. Most probably, he wouldn't be able to cultivate in peace in this place. He could only change locations. Help me keep an eye on him. Black Peak spoke. Beside him, a fifth-level ascendant from the Eastern Sage Immortal sect walked over. Although Qin Wentian had already left, Black Peak could still see where Qin Wentian was heading to. Black Peak nodded his head lightly. I will keep watch. Help me gather the elite disciples. I want the life of this man. Black Peak coldly spoke, his words causing the expression of that Dongshangshan Gate disciple to stiffen. However, he still nodded his head and took out a treasure. A beam of light shot out from it, but this beam of light was even more dazzling. Although elite disciples could enter this place, they wouldn't easily act against the participants here. However, it seemed that this disciple of the Deep Flame Immortal King, Black Peak, had a deep grudge with this man. An instant later, several experts arrived here. There were people of all cultivation bases here, including several elite disciples clad in resplendent robes. One of them stared at Black Peak and asked, Black Peak, why are you here? Don't tell me you were the one who sent out the signal. Earlier, 5 of your junior apprentice brothers were killed by a single person, including a core disciple. Black Peak stared at that person as he spoke. The person beside him nodded his head. He had personally witnessed it. In that case, the talent of this man isn't bad. He would definitely be able to enter the ranks of core disciples. That elite disciple spoke. But I want him to die. Black Peak spoke. Can you do me a favor? Gather the 5th-level ascendants and kill him. Count it as me owing you a favor. Black Peak couldn't wait any longer. He wanted Qin Wentian's life. No matter how he died, he would rather owe a favor to Qin Wentian.